Have you ever wondered why some people stay stuck in lack, no matter how hard they try? They push, they struggle, they chase opportunity after opportunity, and yet it all slips through their hands like sand. It is not because they are lazy. It is not because they are unworthy. It is because they have unknowingly chosen to wear the robe of poverty, a garment woven not from cloth but from thought, speech, and inner vibration. To act poor is not simply to have an empty wallet. Poverty is not measured by what sits in your bank account. It is measured by what sits in your spirit. It is measured by the posture of your shoulders, the tone of your words, the stories you keep repeating to yourself when no one else is listening. Poverty is not a condition of circumstance. It is a vibration, and vibration creates reality. Imagine two robes. One is the robe of the beggar, heavy with shame, stitched with fear, faded from endless doubt. The other is the robe of the king, radiant with dignity, woven with confidence, glowing with unseen wealth. These robes are invisible to the human eye but fully visible to the divine law that governs your life. Each morning, you rise and put on one of these robes. And whichever robe you wear, that is the robe life responds to. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that appearances create experience. If you walk in the robe of the beggar, the world will meet you as a beggar. If you stand in the robe of the king, the world will answer you as royalty. To act poor is to silently agree with lack. To act rich in spirit is to call forth abundance. I ask you now, in what ways have you unknowingly acted poor in your own life? Have you spoken words of defeat such as, "I can't afford that," or "I'll never get ahead"? Have you walked into rooms with your head lowered, apologizing for taking up space? Have you dressed your dreams in hesitation instead of faith? Every one of these choices is a silent prayer, a decree sent into the universe, and the universe, faithful as always, responds. But hear this truth: the hidden cost of acting poor is not just emptiness in your pockets, it is emptiness in your soul. It is the loss of opportunity. It is the silent dismissal from rooms you were meant to enter. It is doors closing before you even reach them because your vibration has already told the world you do not belong inside. This is why today's teaching matters, because there is a law at work in your life, whether you are aware of it or not. A law that does not bend for excuses or circumstances. The law that says your consciousness shapes your destiny. If you align with poverty, poverty will follow you. If you align with abundance, abundance will be magnetized to you. Before we dive deeper, pause with me. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for daily motivational videos that can shift your entire reality. Every day your soul needs reminders. Every day your mind needs renewal. These teachings are not just content. They are the very food of transformation. Now, let us return to the robe you are wearing. Ask yourself, which robe have I been carrying through my days? Have I hidden behind scarcity, apologizing for my own existence, or have I clothed myself in dignity, even when nothing in my bank account seemed to agree? To act poor, even when you have nothing, is to seal your fate in cycles of lack. But to act rich in spirit, even when you have nothing, is to begin a new vibration that calls heaven to rearrange itself in your favor. The divine does not respond to pity. The divine responds to faith. The invisible law hears your words, feels your posture, and reads your vibration long before it reads your wallet. This is why Florence Scovel Shinn called words wands. Your tongue carries the power of creation. Your thoughts are blueprints written on the unseen canvas of destiny. If you tell yourself you are broke, your spirit begins to walk as if it is broken. If you tell yourself you are abundant, even in emptiness, you create space for abundance to rush in. Think of a seed. A seed buried in the soil does not cry, "I am poor." It does not shrink because no tree is yet visible. It acts rich in spirit by pressing upward, by stretching into the unseen, by daring to believe that sunlight is waiting. So must you. Even when the soil of your life feels heavy, even when nothing appears to be sprouting, you must act as the seed does. Act rich in spirit. Act abundant in vibration. Act aligned with divine law. Ask yourself again, in what ways have I acted poor? Was it in the words I spoke yesterday? Was it in the doubt I carried into my decisions? Was it in the posture of my body when I felt defeated? Awareness is the first key. For once you see how you have been acting poor, you can choose a new robe. Beloved soul, this is not a small teaching. This is not a motivational phrase to repeat once and forget. This is a law that decides if you will remain trapped in cycles of struggle or step into cycles of divine prosperity. To act poor, even if you have nothing, is to imprison yourself in scarcity. To act abundant, even in emptiness, is to set the stage for miracles. And so I tell you with urgency, choose carefully which robe you will wear today, because your robe is not only your clothing before the world, it is your decree before heaven, it is your vibration before the universe, and it is the very destiny that will unfold before your eyes. Stay with me, because in the next part we will uncover the deeper law at work, the law of vibration, and how it reveals why acting poor blocks wealth from ever finding you. You ever felt the weight of lack before a single coin even left your hand? That heavy sensation that seems to shadow your thoughts, your speech, your very posture. This is not the absence of money. This is the presence of vibration. The law of vibration is unchanging. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every gesture you make is alive with frequency. You are never neutral. You are always broadcasting. And what you broadcast, you summon. Picture a tuning fork. Strike it on a low note, and it can only call forth vibrations that echo its tone. Strike it high, and everything around it harmonizes upward. Your life is that tuning fork. Act poor in thought, in speech, in body, and you summon conditions of poverty. Carry yourself with dignity. Declare words of abundance. Lift your head as if crowned by heaven, and you invite prosperity. Florence Scovel Shinn declared that words are wands. They do not simply describe life, they carve it. To say I cannot afford it is not just an admission. It is a decree. It is a law written upon your subconscious and stamped into your vibration. Every repetition reinforces the chain, and so, acting poor through apology, through shrinking, through self-denial becomes the very key that locks the door you are praying to open. Let us bring this closer. Imagine a man who walks into a room with his shoulders bowed, his voice quiet, his clothing neglected, his words soaked with doubt. He has not told anyone he is poor, but his vibration has already shouted it. The room responds in kind. Opportunities close, respect diminishes. Even those who could help sense the low current and withdraw, not because the world is cruel, but because vibration obeys law. Now, imagine another. She too has little in her purse, but she enters with light in her eyes, care in her dress, firmness in her voice. She does not pretend to be wealthy in arrogance. She embodies wealth in dignity, and the room feels it. Doors open, invitations appear. She has aligned with the upward tone of prosperity, and life answers accordingly. This is not performance. This is law. The outer is shaped by the inner current. So I ask you now, how often have you acted poor without realizing it? In your words, I'll never get ahead. In your actions, refusing to lift your head. In your choices, settling for less because you feared asking for more. These habits are not harmless. They are vibrational contracts. They broadcast lack into the divine orchestra, and the universe plays back your song. But here is the release. The vibration can be changed. The moment you choose to stop rehearsing lack, you tune your life to a higher key. The moment you speak words of power, even softly, you shift the current. The moment you walk with dignity, no matter what is in your bank account, you send a new signal into the invisible field. Florence taught the law of substitution. Replace a negative thought with a divine one. So when I cannot afford this rises, substitute this or something better now comes to me. When shame whispers, lift your chin and declare, I carry the vibration of wealth. When you feel yourself shrinking, expand, even if only by one deep breath. This is how vibration shifts, not by waiting for money to appear, but by aligning with wealth before money arrives. Your subconscious is the echo chamber of your life. It repeats what you feed it until it becomes automatic. If you have fed it lack, it will create lack without question. But the subconscious also obeys repetition. Each new declaration, each new act of dignity, each new thought of abundance is a strike upon the higher tuning fork. Keep striking, and soon the entire field of your life will harmonize with the higher note. Let us practice together. Speak this not as hope but as decree. I carry the vibration of wealth, even when appearances deny it. My words, my actions, and my spirit align with divine abundance. Poverty is not my truth. Abundance is my birthright. Feel how those words change the rhythm of your body. They are not empty. They carry frequency. They rise like incense into the silent gate of destiny. This is the invitation. Stop broadcasting lack. Stop carrying yourself as if you are forgotten. You are not. You are the beloved of the infinite. To act poor is to forget your lineage. To act abundant is to remember it. And this memory is not arrogant. It is surrender to truth. You are not the beggar in the dust. You are the heir of divine inheritance. The law of vibration calls you to embody that truth now. not tomorrow, not when the bank account shifts, but in this breath. So let us turn inward. Close your eyes and see yourself standing before the mirror. See your reflection clothed not in rags of worry but in robes of light. Hear your voice speaking words of command, not apology. Watch your posture straighten, as if angels themselves placed a crown upon your head. Hold this image until it feels real, for what you hold within, the world must answer without. The law of vibration is impartial. It will not argue with you. It will not wait for your readiness. It will magnify whatever you embody. So choose to embody wealth. Choose to embody dignity. Choose to embody faith. And as you choose, notice the subtle shift already awakening. The heaviness begins to lift. The fear loosens its grip. The air itself feels different, because you are striking a new note. Carry this awareness with you. Each time you are tempted to act poor, remember, you are the tuning fork. Choose the higher tone, and watch as life begins to harmonize upward with you. This is the law, and the law cannot fail. Now, as we continue, we will step deeper into how this inner alignment shapes not only your vibration, but the very opportunities and doors that appear in your path. For when you change your frequency, the world must change its song. There is a fear so quiet it almost hides beneath the skin. It is not spoken at dinner tables. It is not confessed in public prayers, yet it haunts countless hearts. It is the fear of nothingness, the fear of being stripped bare, with nothing to show, nothing to claim, nothing to protect you from the gaze of others. This fear is why so many act poor, not because they desire poverty, but because they dread exposure. They walk lightly, apologetically, as though hoping no one notices the emptiness within. They lower their voices, hide their desires, and shrink their presence. Behind every gesture is a silent plea. Do not see me. Do not discover how little I have. But here is the truth. The attempt to cover nothingness only magnifies it. What you try to conceal in shame becomes the very vibration you broadcast. The posture of fear becomes the mask of poverty, and the world reflects it back without mercy. Let me tell you a story. Imagine a king who ruled a vast land. His crown was heavy with jewels. His robes were woven with gold. One day, betrayal struck, and his crown was stolen. His robes torn away. He stood before his people stripped of every symbol of power. At first, he trembled. What would they see now? Would they laugh? Would they abandon him? But in that silent hour, he discovered something astonishing. His authority did not leave with the crown. His dignity was not carried away in threads of gold. His people still bowed, not to the metal on his head, but to the spirit in his voice. His power was never the crown. It was the belief he carried in his soul. This is the lesson of the fear of nothingness. Your true wealth is not in what can be taken away. It is in the vibration that cannot be stolen. To act poor because you fear being exposed is to forget your crown is inward, eternal, untouchable. Yet how often does poverty consciousness weave its habits into daily life? Think of the person who constantly apologizes for existing, the one who hesitates to speak an idea, fearing it is too small, the one who slouches as though trying to disappear into the shadows. Each habit seems harmless, but together they build a fortress of lack. Every apology, every hesitation, every bowing of the head whispers to the universe, I am less than I was created to be. The paradox is clear. In trying to hide your lack, you reinforce it. In acting poor to protect yourself from shame, you project the very frequency that multiplies shame. The divine mirror does not reflect what you desire. It reflects what you display. If you stand before it clothed in dignity, it answers with opportunities. If you stand before it cloaked in fear, it answers with closed doors. So I ask you now, in the silence of your own heart, when do you shrink? When do you apologize for being here? When do you act as though you are less than the child of infinite supply? Write it down, journal it, name it, because what is named can be transformed. Here is your prompt. In what moments do I shrink? Apologize, or act as if I am less than I truly am. Let your pen move without judgment. Each word you write is light cast upon the shadows. And as you write, remember the teaching of Florence Scovel Shinn. She gave us the law of substitution. For every thought of fear, choose faith. For every gesture of poverty, choose dignity. When the voice of nothingness whispers, answer it with, I am guided, guarded, and supplied. When you feel yourself apologizing, stand taller and declare, I have a right to be here. I am a child of God, rich in inheritance. When your posture bends under invisible weight, lift your head and feel the invisible crown of spirit. The fear of nothingness is not a curse. It is a doorway. It is the threshold where the soul is invited to remember what cannot be taken. When you face it with open eyes, it loses its grip. When you see that your true wealth is not coins, clothes, or crowns, but the vibration of divine dignity, the fear dissolves. Think of it as standing before the silent gate of destiny. On one side is the echo of lack, the endless cycle of shrinking and apologizing. On the other side is the remembrance of who you are. The gate does not open to begging. It opens to recognition. The moment you remember your inheritance, the moment you substitute fear with faith, the latch lifts and the path clears. So breathe deeply. Feel the fear of nothingness without running. Acknowledge it as a teacher, not a master. Then answer with truth. I may appear to have little, but I carry the vibration of infinite wealth. I may walk through shadows, but I am clothed in light. I may stand with empty hands, but my soul is never empty, for I am aligned with eternal supply. Do you feel the shift? The fear is not the end. It is the beginning. It is the soil in which faith grows. It is the silence before the divine orchestra begins to play. It is the moment before dawn when light prepares to rise. Your nothingness is not your identity. It is the canvas upon which spirit paints abundance. To act poor is to stay trapped in the sketch. To act abundant is to allow the masterpiece to unfold. Carry this with you now. Every time fear whispers, substitute it. Every time shame pulls you down, rise higher. Every time you feel nothing, declare, this emptiness is space for miracles to enter. The fear of nothingness is not here to destroy you. It is here to awaken you. And once awakened, you cannot return to the posture of poverty. You will walk as one who remembers the crown, even if unseen by others. You will speak as one who commands wealth, even if not yet counted in coins. You will live as one who knows that divine supply is endless, and you are its chosen vessel. This is the turning point. And as we move forward, we will see how embracing dignity in the face of nothingness becomes the seed of true prosperity, because the soul that refuses to act poor, even in emptiness, is the soul that summons abundance. There is a moment in every soul's journey where the choice becomes clear. You can either remain clothed in the invisible garments of fear and lack, or you can put on the robe of divine dignity. Even if the world insists you have nothing, this choice is not about fabric or fortune. It is about frequency. It is about deciding each morning which robe you will wear before the law of the universe. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that appearances create experience. She reminded us that to act as though your supply already exists is to call it into form. Faith is not waiting for evidence. Faith is the evidence. Faith is the robe you wear while others see only rags. When you choose the robe of wealth, you are not pretending. You are aligning. You are stepping into the truth that your provision is not born of coins or contracts, but of the eternal law of abundance that surrounds you like air. Picture this with me now. You rise in the morning, and before you step into the day, you close your eyes and visualize yourself clothed in radiant light, not a light others must see, but a light you carry within your posture, your breath, your words. Imagine entering a room. Your shoulders are lifted, not in arrogance, but in quiet assurance. Your gaze is steady, not with pride, but with peace. Your words flow calmly, carrying the vibration of one who knows they are provided for. The room responds. Conversations shift. Doors seem to open without force. What changed? Not the world. You. You changed the garment of your spirit. This is the inner shift. To wear the robe of wealth is to carry the vibration of sufficiency long before material wealth arrives. The robe is not bought, it is claimed. It is woven of faith, dignity, and consciousness. And once worn, it alters everything around you. Try this affirmation, and let it sink into the marrow of your being. I never act poor. I act rich in spirit, rich in wisdom, and rich in divine favor. Say it slowly, letting each word strike like a tuning fork, sending out a clear vibration into the atmosphere. Say also, the robe of wealth is already mine. I wear it now in faith. Speak it until you feel the shift. Speak it until the robe settles on your shoulders and the crown of inner assurance rests upon your head. This is not empty self-talk. This is spiritual science. Your subconscious mind responds not to logic, but to image, to repetition, to posture. When you shift your breath from shallow fear to deep assurance, the subconscious rewrites its script. When you stand tall instead of shrinking, your nervous system receives a new command. When you speak words of dignity into the mirror, your inner world begins to mirror them back in lived experience. So here is a practice for you. Stand before a mirror, look directly into your own eyes, not with judgment but with reverence, and declare, I am not poor, I am a child of infinite wealth. Repeat it until your reflection begins to soften, until you no longer see lack but light, until the robe of wealth becomes more real to you than the robe of fear. This is how inner garments are chosen, not once, but daily, not by accident, but by decision. And understand this, wearing the robe of wealth does not mean ignoring challenges. It does not mean pretending your bank account is full when it is not. It means refusing to let appearances dictate your posture. It means living from the invisible law rather than from visible lack. It means walking as though divine supply is already yours because, in truth, it is. Florence Scovel Shinn often spoke of the law of substitution. When fear rises and whispers, you do not have enough, you substitute it with, I walk clothed in abundance, guided by infinite supply. When shame tells you to shrink, you substitute it with, I wear the robe of dignity. I carry myself as royalty in the kingdom of spirit. This practice rewires the very vibration of your being. Your soul is like an instrument in a divine orchestra. When you act poor, your string goes slack, and the music falters. But when you act with dignity, when you carry yourself as one already wealthy in spirit, your note resonates with the harmony of abundance, and the universe tunes itself to your song. So breathe deeply now, and feel the garment of light settle upon you. Imagine its fabric shimmering with divine favor, woven from strands of faith, lined with threads of wisdom. Imagine each step you take today clothed in that robe. How differently would you speak? How differently would you stand? How differently would you expect life to meet you? Write this into your journal. Today, I wear the robe of wealth. My words carry dignity. My presence carries light. My spirit carries the vibration of abundance. This is not mere writing. It is a contract with the subconscious, a declaration to the universe that you refuse to walk naked in fear when heaven has clothed you in supply, that the robe of wealth is invisible to the untrained eye, but unmistakable to the law of vibration. Opportunities see it, people sense it, doors recognize it. Wearing this robe is not an act of vanity. It is an act of faith. It is saying to the silent gate of destiny, I am ready, I am clothed, I am prepared for the banquet of abundance. And here is the secret. Those who consistently wear this robe open doors others cannot even perceive. While some wander in circles of lack, you will find paths unfolding at your feet. While others bow to circumstances, you will walk with quiet authority. The robe of wealth is not only a garment, it is a key. So as you move forward, let this inner shift become your daily ritual. No longer will you act poor. No longer will you bow to the illusion of nothingness. You will rise clothed in the vibration of wealth, even if appearances deny it. For faith is the robe that makes substance visible. Carry this robe with you now. Feel its weight. Feel its dignity. And as you wear it, know this truth. You are no longer defined by the garments of lack. You are defined by the inheritance of spirit. And when you live clothed in that truth, life itself begins to bow in recognition. To wear the robe of wealth inwardly is one step, but to live it outwardly is where the divine law is proven. Spirit does not ask you to wait for evidence before you act. Spirit asks you to become the evidence, to walk as though heaven has already opened its storehouses for you, to speak as though the treasury of the infinite is your rightful inheritance. Every morning, before the world places its weight upon you, begin with a sacred ritual of words. Words are keys. Words are bridges. Words are laws set into motion. Whisper to yourself, I am rich in spirit, rich in wisdom, rich in divine favor. Speak it not as a wish but as a decree. The subconscious does not argue with decrees, it obeys them. And as Florence Scovel Shinn taught, what you decree with faith eventually takes form in your world. Then, take to the page. 3 lines, 3 proofs that abundance already exists in your life today. The soft light that greets you at dawn, the breath moving through your body without demand or effort, the unseen protection that guided you safely through yesterday's challenges. Each line, a stone of gratitude laid into the foundation of your inner temple. Gratitude is not a polite feeling. Gratitude is a spiritual magnet, pulling more of what you acknowledge into your orbit. Yet to live rich in spirit requires more than affirmations and gratitude. It requires non-resistance is the refusal to curse your conditions, the refusal to bow to complaint. criticism, or comparison. When you complain, you reinforce chains. When you criticize, you lower your vibration to the very level you wish to rise above. When you compare, you forget that your soul carries its own divine blueprint, unlike any other. Non-resistance is not weakness. Non-resistance is strength beyond the need to fight. It is standing so deeply in faith that you allow the law to rearrange your world without interference. Think of life as a divine clock, every gear turning in perfect harmony, every tick marking divine timing. You cannot rush the hour hand forward, and you cannot hold it back. If you live in resistance, you pound on the face of the clock, demanding time to move at your will. But when you align with spirit, you step into the rhythm of eternity. What belongs to you cannot be delayed, and what is not yours cannot be forced. Consider the story of a woman I once knew. She was surrounded by lack, her job unstable, her future uncertain, yet she chose to speak abundance when all evidence said otherwise. She said daily, "I walk in divine provision. Unseen doors are opening for me." And though weeks passed with no visible change, she held the vibration steady. Then, unexpectedly, a call arrived, an opportunity she had not pursued, with pay she had not requested, in a city she had long desired to live. Spirit had been working behind the scenes while she kept her inner law unshaken. This is the fruit of living rich in spirit. So I ask you now, what would change if, starting today, you refused to act poor in any area of your life? If you stopped shrinking in conversations, stopped apologizing for your worth, stopped counting pennies with a heart of fear. Acting poor is not about money alone. It is about how you see yourself. Do you act poor in your confidence? Do you act poor in your vision? Do you act poor in your prayer, asking only for crumbs when heaven longs to pour out rivers? Living rich in spirit is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is choosing to walk as a child of infinite wealth, even if your outer world has not yet caught up. When you lift your shoulders, breathe deeply, and speak calmly, your subconscious registers wealth as normal, and what becomes normal within must eventually appear without. The law of divine timing and non-resistance moves as a quiet current beneath your feet. You may not see the river, but it is carrying you toward your destiny. Refuse to curse the steps. Refuse to declare yourself poor in any sense of the word. Instead, proclaim daily, "I live rich in spirit. I act rich in faith. I walk rich in destiny." As this vibration deepens, your life becomes magnetic. Circumstances begin to bend in your favor. Conversations shift. Opportunities rise. Doors appear where only walls once stood. This is not coincidence. This is the law, answering the robe you chose to wear in silence. The robe of dignity, the robe of faith, the robe of wealth in spirit. Living rich in spirit does not mean you ignore reality. It means you choose the higher reality. You acknowledge what is, but you align with what is becoming. You do not deny the bill, but you declare, "This too is met by divine supply." You do not deny the loneliness, but you affirm, "Love seeks me now through divine right channels." You do not deny the delay, but you declare, "God's clock strikes on time, and it strikes for me." Every act of faith is a seed planted in unseen soil. Every refusal to act poor is a door refusing to shut. Every word of abundance is a thread woven into the garment of your tomorrow. You are not waiting for wealth. Wealth is waiting for you to live in the spirit of it now. And when you do, you will discover something miraculous. Wealth is not only money. Wealth is the freedom to think abundantly, to love generously, to walk in peace when others tremble in fear. That is the wealth of spirit, and it is the soil from which material prosperity grows. So rise each day, robe yourself in words of power, anchor yourself in gratitude, and choose non-resistance as your silent weapon. Then walk into the world clothed, not in fear, but in faith. For the one who lives rich in spirit cannot remain poor in form. Now, let us step into the next truth. The doors that open when you wear this vibration will not be visible to everyone. They are divine doors, unseen by the eyes of fear, yet revealed to the eyes of faith. You have walked with me through the valley of fear. You have stood before the mirror of lack and seen how it was only reflecting what you once believed. You have clothed yourself in the robe of wealth, even when your hands felt empty. And now, you arrive at the sacred crossing, a threshold moment. The silent gate of destiny stands before you, waiting for your decision. Today is not a day for today is a day of sealing, a day of covenant between your soul and the infinite. You are not poor, you never were. You are a child of infinite supply, an heir to a kingdom that has no end. Poverty was a shadow cast by fear, but shadows vanish when light is chosen. And today, you cast off the robe of poverty forever. Feel this truth as more than words. Feel it as fire in your chest. Feel it as clarity in your mind. Feel it as calm strength in your spirit. You are not defined by the coins in your pocket, the numbers on a screen, or the opinions of others. You are defined by the substance of spirit flowing through you. The universe does not measure you by what you lack but by what you project. And you, beloved soul, now project wealth, dignity, and divine inheritance. So, speak this with me now. Let it not be a whisper, but a decree set into the divine orchestra of creation. I never act poor. I walk in wealth. I never act poor. I live in dignity. I never act poor. I am one with divine supply. Each word is a key, unlocking doors you did not know existed. Each phrase is a banner, declaring to the unseen forces of heaven and earth that you no longer bow to lack. You stand as a sovereign of spirit, crowned not by gold alone but by faith, wisdom, and the favor of God. Close your eyes, and let us step into a vision. See yourself standing before a golden gate. Its frame shines with light, not of this world. The gate is closed, but only because it waits for your command. Place your hand upon it. Feel the warmth of divine promise pulsing beneath your palm. Now declare in your heart, I step into my inheritance. And as you do, the gate swings open, revealing a reality bathed in abundance. Streams of provision flow like rivers. Opportunities gleam like jewels. Love surrounds you like air. This is not imagination. This is the soul's compass pointing you to what has always been yours. Walk through. Do not hesitate. Each step you take is an act of faith. Each breath you draw is supply made manifest. As you cross the threshold, you leave behind the identity of one who begged, who apologized, who shrank in the shadow of fear. That chapter is closed. That robe is burned. That story no longer belongs to you. From this moment forward, you never act poor again. You speak as one, aligned with heaven's order. You stand as one clothed in eternal wealth. You live as one whose destiny is not to scrape the ground but to soar on wings of divine inheritance. And so, I bless you now, not with mere words but with the vibration of eternal truth. You are not poor. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are chosen. You are equipped. You are supplied by a source that never runs dry. Say it again, and let it seal in your spirit like fire-branding gold. I never act poor. I walk in wealth. I never act poor. I live in dignity. I never act poor. I am one with divine supply. Let these words echo in your home, in your thoughts, in your daily walk. For when the world tempts you to shrink, when circumstances try to whisper lies of lack, your declaration will roar louder. I am rich in spirit, and my wealth unfolds in perfect timing. Beloved soul, your journey does not end here. It begins anew. You have crossed the silent gate of destiny. You have taken your seat at the banquet of divine abundance. The sacred law will now move through you, shaping your days, directing your steps, and multiplying every seed you plant in faith. And now I invite you to remain in this flow. If this teaching has stirred your soul, if it has lifted you from the dust of fear to the crown of faith, then subscribe and join this daily journey of spiritual transformation. Together, we will continue to awaken the laws of wealth, health, and destiny that God placed within you. Go now with dignity. Go now with victory. Go now as one who will never act poor again, for you are clothed in the robe of eternal wealth, walking in harmony with the infinite, and the whole universe bends joyfully to make your prosperity known. Beloved soul, may you walk clothed in light. May every word you speak summon wealth and favor. May the divine orchestra of heaven align to your steps. You are not poor. You are infinite supply in motion. And so it is. What if every word you speak is already echoing in the halls of the universe? What if every whisper of fear, every murmur of doubt, every declaration of hope was not just passing air but a command written into the eternal law of life? Imagine with me for a moment. There is a divine scribe, a celestial recorder seated at the silent desk of infinity. Every time you speak, the scribe dips the quill into light and writes your words into the book of your destiny. Not one word is missed, not one syllable ignored. Each becomes a seed planted in the invisible soil that will soon grow into the harvest of your life. This is the mystery too many forget. The universe does not filter. It does not separate your prayers from your complaints, your affirmations from your fears. It hears all. It receives all. and it creates from all. Florence Scovel Shinn called this the law of the spoken word, the silent command of spirit that shapes everything you will ever touch, taste, or become. And here is the tragedy. Most people, perhaps even you, have been giving orders to life without even knowing it. Orders dressed in lack, orders cloaked in fear, orders spoken in the language of limitation. I cannot afford it. Nothing ever works out for me. I am tired. I am unlucky. I am lost. The divine scribe does not pause to ask if this is what you truly want. It simply writes, and the universe simply obeys. Can you feel the weight of that? Can you see how many years have been quietly shaped, not by conscious prayer, but by unconscious declarations? How many doors have remained closed because the words spoken each day were the locks themselves? This is why the first awakening is not about what we do. It is about what we speak, because the tongue is not small. It is the rudder of the soul, turning the entire ship of your life toward lack or toward abundance, toward despair or toward destiny. I want to tell you something both terrifying and thrilling. The universe is not sentimental. It is literal. It listens without judgment. It responds without delay. When you speak words of lack, it does not say, but she doesn't really mean that. It simply begins constructing lack. When you declare fear, it does not say, surely he wants faith instead. It simply unfolds more situations to match fear. This is why Florence taught that the word is your wand. What you command, you call. What you call, you live. But here lies the hidden treasure. If every careless word has the power to create chains, then every conscious word has the power to create freedom. If the tongue can build prisons, it can also unlock palaces. And at the center of this ancient law are 3 words, 3 simple words that, when spoken with faith, open the gate of destiny. They are not complicated. They are not mystical in a way that only sages understand. They are available to you now, as close as your own lips, as near as your own breath. Do you feel the pull of curiosity rising? Do you feel the sacred urgency in your spirit? Because before we walk through this teaching, I want to invite you to join me on this journey beyond today. If you desire daily words that awaken your spirit, daily guidance that draws you closer to divine truth, then subscribe to this channel. This is not entertainment. This is soul work. Each day we gather here to remember what the world has forgotten, to awaken what lies dormant within you. So click that button now and step with me into this rhythm of daily transformation. Now, let us return to the gate that stands before us, the gate of the word. Florence revealed that your words are more than sounds. They are spiritual forces, invisible messengers carrying orders to the infinite, and those orders do not vanish. They materialize. They become flesh. They take shape in your relationships, in your finances, in your opportunities, in your inner peace. And if you have ever wondered why cycles repeat, why struggles linger, why opportunities pass you by, it is not because heaven has ignored you. It is because the universe has been faithfully obeying the very words you have been speaking. So I ask you now, if one careless word can shape your tomorrow, what might 3 conscious words do? If one phrase of doubt can build years of delay, what might 3 phrases of faith create? This is why we must begin here, with awakening. Because once you see the truth that every word is law, you can no longer live in the illusion that your tongue is harmless. You realize that your voice is the architect of your reality, and the architect has been waiting, patient and silent, for you to pick up the blueprint of power instead of the blueprint of fear. Let us step through the first gate together, and let us discover why the universe has been waiting all this time for your words. Florence Scovel Shinn taught a truth so sharp, so alive, that it cuts through centuries of confusion. She said, your word is your wand, not a symbol, not a metaphor, but a literal tool of creation. Every phrase you speak into the atmosphere is a spark of command, and the universe, like an obedient orchestra, tunes itself to the sound of your voice. The word is not empty. It is living. It is law. It is the unseen sculptor of your destiny, chiseling reality, according to the sound of your declarations. This is why Scripture tells us that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. To speak is not casual. It is to step into the very act of creation itself. At the center of this law lies the sacred phrase, I am. These 2 words are not harmless. They are not lightweight. They are the most powerful spiritual command you will ever issue. To say I am is to open the red phone to the divine command center, the direct line to the infinite. Each time you declare I am, you hand the divine architect a set of blueprints. And the architect does not question, the architect builds. Consider how unconsciously most people hand over these plans. They whisper, I am tired, I am broke, I am unlucky. Each phrase becomes a cosmic order. The divine architect does not pause to correct you. It does not ask, did you mean this? It simply receives the blueprint and begins constructing fatigue, scarcity, and misfortune. The universe is not sentimental. It is exact. This is why Florence warned that every careless I am is a brick in the structure of your life. If you say, I am too old, you have drawn up a plan for limitation. If you declare, I am not enough, you have etched scarcity into the walls of your tomorrow. And yet, if you awaken to the law, if you choose to speak with divine intention, the same I am can draw palaces instead of prisons, opportunities instead of obstacles, health instead of decline. Picture it clearly. Each I am statement you make is a scroll rolled across the desk of the divine architect. With every word, beams are placed, foundations are poured, windows are set. The building of your life is being constructed at the speed of your declarations. The only question is whether you are handing the architect blueprints of fear or blueprints of faith. Here is where the law of substitution becomes your ally. Florence taught that you cannot simply resist a negative thought, you must replace it. The moment you hear yourself say, I am unlucky, substitute it with, I am divinely guided. When you find the words, I am broke, rising to your lips, replace them with, I am aligned with divine abundance. Substitution is the act of taking back your power, of interrupting the unconscious blueprint and offering a new one to the architect of life. Let us make this practical. For the next 24 hours, become a witness to your own I am statements. Listen as if you are standing in the halls of the universe with the divine scribe beside you. Each time you say I am, pause. Ask yourself, would I want this written into my destiny? If the answer is no, substitute it instantly. Speak the words that call forth life. Try these affirmations aloud with me now. I am aligned with divine abundance. I am open to miracles. I am guided at every step. Do not whisper them as if they are optional. Declare them as if the walls themselves are waiting for your command. Say them with the weight of a decree, because that is what they are. And notice how your body responds. Your shoulders lift, your chest expands, your mind softens. This is not imagination. This is the vibration of law adjusting itself to the sound of your command. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Soon, your inner dialogue shifts. Your words stop building cages and begin constructing bridges. I want you to understand this. The universe listens most closely when you speak about yourself, because I am is not just description. It is identity. It is the seed of being, and once identity is planted, reality bends to match it. This is why we must take sacred responsibility for every I am, because when you change the phrase, you change the foundation. But our journey does not end with identity. For once you understand the law of I am, you must learn the second dimension of creation. Beyond who you are lies what you possess. Beyond identity lies possession. Beyond being lies having. And so we step forward, ready to uncover the next gate of the living word. There is a doorway many people pass by without ever opening. It is the silent gate of gratitude, and behind it lies the multiplication of every blessing. If I am shapes your identity, then I have awakened your abundance. It is the second sacred word, and it carries the power to draw increase into every corner of your life. Think of how often lack is spoken. I don't have enough money. I don't have the time. I don't have the opportunities others do. Each phrase tightens the walls around you, closing the window to what is possible. Lack language shrinks the soul. It blinds the eyes to provision already present. But when you declare I have, something shifts. Suddenly you stand in a new vibration. You begin to see the treasures that were already in your hands. I have life, I have wisdom, I have strength, I have another chance. These acknowledgments do not simply describe reality. They expand it, because what you recognize multiplies. This is the law of multiplication. Florence Scovel Shinn often reminded her students that every declaration is a seed. When you say I have, you place that seed in the soil of the universe. And the gardener, who is divine law itself, waters it faithfully. Say I have peace, and peace deepens. Say I have ideas, and new insights rush forward. Say I have favor, and doors open in ways you could never orchestrate. The gardener does not question, the gardener simply multiplies. Let me offer a story. There was a woman who felt trapped in financial struggle. Her every thought echoed with the refrain, I don't have enough. Bills seemed heavier. Work seemed harder. Hope seemed thinner. But then she learned the sacred shift. Each morning she sat with a journal and wrote 7 things she could say with honesty. I have breath. I have a mind that can learn. I have a friend who supports me. I have courage that carried me this far. At first, it felt small, but soon, something miraculous occurred. She began to see opportunity where before she saw only walls. She attracted new clients, new pathways, unexpected provision. The seed of I have had multiplied into harvest. This is why gratitude is not sentimental. It is strategic. It is not simply saying thank you. It is opening the storehouse of heaven. When you say I have, you align yourself with the truth that the universe is already pouring into you. And in that recognition, the flow increases. Let us make this practical. Begin a gratitude journaling practice. Each day, write 7 declarations of what you have, not vague hopes, but real acknowledgments of present truth. Write, I have strength to face today. I have wisdom unfolding in me. I have guidance that never leaves me. I have divine provision appearing now. These are not empty words. They are keys that unlock chambers of abundance you have not yet seen. Speak these affirmations aloud with me. I have all I need in this moment. I have divine provision unfolding now. I have treasures within me that no one can take. Feel how your energy lifts when you speak these words. The language of lack collapses your spirit. The language of I have expands it. This is the gate of gratitude, the opening through which increase flows. See it in your mind. Each time you say I have, it is as though a light shines on that area of your life. The gardener bends low, watering the seed, nurturing the soil, ensuring that what you have will not remain small but will multiply. Do not underestimate this law. A person who constantly declares what they lack closes their own gates. A person who consistently declares what they have walks in fields of multiplication. This is why you must become deliberate with your words. What you count expands. What you ignore diminishes. So pause, even now. Whisper, I have peace rising in me. I have strength that renews itself daily. I have opportunities unfolding beyond my sight. As you speak, notice the shift inside. Your chest expands. Your heart softens. Your eyes begin to see possibilities where once you saw barriers. The gate of gratitude has opened. And when that gate is open, blessings rush in like sunlight breaking through clouds after a storm. But the journey is not complete, for even identity and gratitude are not enough. Knowing who you are and what you have is powerful, but one more sacred word remains. The third word restores your power of choice, the divine authority to direct your destiny. And it is to this final word that we must now turn. There comes a point in every soul's journey where the weight of helplessness feels unbearable, where the heart whispers, why does this keep happening to me? Where the mind circles around the same old prison bars, believing it has no key. This is the silent suffering of countless souls moving through life as if they are passengers, not creators. They breathe, they work, they survive, but they do not choose, and when you do not choose, the world chooses for you. But hear me now. There is a throne that has been waiting for you since the hour of your birth. It is not built of gold or stone, but of divine will, clothed in human freedom. Upon this throne, no man, no woman, no government, no circumstance has power over you. Only your own word can seat you there, and that word is simple, radiant, unshakable. I choose. I choose. These 2 words are not weak wishes. They are not the fragile echoes of a wandering mind. They are a command written into the very fabric of divine law. When spoken with clarity, they are the scepter that parts seas of limitation and opens gates of destiny. The moment you declare, I choose, you reclaim the pen that has always been in your hand. The story of your life is no longer scribbled by fear, by habit, by other people's expectations. It is written by you, in ink that cannot fade. Do not misunderstand. Choice is not resistance. It is not a clenched fist against the winds of life. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that non-resistance is the key to power. To choose is not to fight against what is. To choose is to align with the higher pattern beneath appearances. It is to step into harmony with divine order, knowing that what belongs to you cannot be withheld. When you say, I choose, you are not forcing destiny. You are welcoming it. Let us reframe the old lies that steal your power. When the mind cries, I have no choice, answer with, I choose to see divine order unfolding. When the heart laments, this always happens to me, rise up and say, I choose to respond with wisdom. When the world says, you are trapped, let your soul thunder back. I choose freedom in thought, freedom in faith, freedom in love. every morning. Before the noise of the world reaches you, practice this sacred art of choice. Take pen to paper and write one statement that declares your throne. Let it be clear. Let it be alive. Write, I choose peace today. Write, I choose opportunity today. Write, I choose divine guidance in every step. Do not underestimate this practice. It is more than ink. It is the daily crowning of your authority. Each word becomes a seed planted in the soil of your subconscious. And that soil cannot resist what is planted with conviction. Let us seal this with living affirmations. Speak them aloud, not as if you are hoping, but as if you are decreeing. I choose faith over fear. I choose abundance over lack. I choose divine order in my life. I choose clarity over confusion. I choose love over bitterness. I choose courage over hesitation. I choose to rise, even when I stumble. I choose to remember, even when the world forgets. Do you feel it? This is not empty speech. It is the thunder of heaven in your voice. It is the universe rearranging itself to echo back your decree. For the moment you say, I choose, heaven whispers, so it is. And as this truth becomes alive in you, as these 3 words shape the marrow of your being, a new question arises. If I choose is the throne, how must I speak so that heaven and earth both hear my decree? 4 words are not all equal. Some pass away like dust, others carry the fire of creation itself. Now that the 3 words are alive within you, we must understand how to speak them so the universe hears clearly. There are hours when words fall into silence, and silence itself becomes a bridge. In those holy thresholds when night folds into sleep, or when dawn breaks its first light, the soul stands at the silent gate of destiny. It is here, in these liminal spaces, that your words carry the greatest weight, not because the words change, but because the door to your inner temple opens. This is the principle of divine timing. Florence Scovel Shinn revealed that every declaration has a rhythm, and when spoken in harmony with that rhythm, it moves mountains. At the edges of sleep and waking, the conscious mind softens its grip. The busy chatter of doubt grows quiet, and what you whisper in those moments does not hover in the air, it sinks. It enters the soil of the subconscious, where impressions become creation. This is the law of impression. The subconscious receives its orders when the conscious mind is still. Imagine yourself lying in bed tonight, the lights dim, the day's burdens loosening their hold. The world outside dissolves, and your breathing becomes the gentle tide of the ocean. In that stillness, speak not loudly, but as if confiding to the divine itself. Whisper, I am. Whisper, I have. Whisper, I choose. Do not rush the words. Let each one be a living flame. Feel them as real, as present, as undeniable as your own heartbeat. This practice is like planting seeds in the dark soil of night. No gardener digs up their seed the next morning to check if it has grown. They trust the mystery beneath the earth. So too must you trust what is whispered in the twilight. For when dawn comes, and light breaks across the horizon, the seeds spoken in faith begin to bloom. Yet there is a truth you must remember. Words alone do not create. Only words clothed in feeling, only words infused with faith, can awaken destiny. To say I am while doubting is to scatter dust in the wind, but to say I am with conviction, with soul-deep resonance, is to call heaven and earth to witness your decree. This is the art of emotional alignment. The divine orchestra responds not to empty syllables, but to the vibration of belief. When your heart beats in rhythm with your words, creation moves swiftly, inevitably, beautifully. So I invite you into a sacred experiment. For the next 7 days, as the sun rises and as the night returns, practice this holy rhythm. In the morning, before the noise of the world rushes in, breathe and speak your 3 words. In the evening, before sleep carries you into the mystery, let the last sound your subconscious hears be your decree. Record each moment in a journal, not as a burden, but as a witness. Write the words you spoke. Note the feelings that rose. Mark the quiet shifts in your inner landscape. This journal becomes more than pages. It becomes a sacred map, proof of the seeds you planted and the blossoms that appear. 7 days may seem small, but within that span, you will feel the subtle bending of reality. Opportunities align. Peace takes root where worry once reigned. A door opens where once you saw only walls, because the universe itself listens when you honor its timing. Do not underestimate the simplicity. The greatest truths are often clothed in gentleness. The whisper of release is more powerful than the shout of resistance. The soft murmur of faith at midnight can shape a lifetime, and when you honor the sacred timing of your words, your life begins to move, not in fragments, but in symphony. So take these 3 words, I am, I have, I choose, and let them be the first and the last breath of each day. Let them sink beneath thought, beneath worry, beneath fear, until they rest in the deep soil of your being. For what is planted there cannot be lost. It can only grow. And as you commit to this rhythm, as you let these words rise with the sun and descend with the stars, something begins to shift. It is as if the very axis of the universe tilts toward you. Your faith bends reality. Your words move creation. Your soul becomes a compass pointing unfailingly toward destiny. And when you commit to these 3 words, the universe itself bends toward your faith. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the fragments of learning unite into a single revelation. We have traveled together from the unconscious use of words, where fear and doubt shaped experience, into the conscious realm, where every word becomes a seed of creation. You have seen how careless speech chains destiny, but also how sacred speech sets the spirit free. And now, here at the summit, the 3 words stand before you as living pillars of transformation. The first was identity. I am it, carved truth into the silence. It awakened your essence, declaring that you are more than circumstance, more than memory, more than fear. I am opened the door to your divine self. The second was gratitude. I have. It multiplied blessings by naming them. It shifted you from longing into recognition, from lack into abundance. I have watered the seeds of plenty, calling forth more from the garden of the universe. And the third was choice. I choose. It crowned you with authority. It placed the pen of destiny in your hand. No longer a bystander to life, you reclaimed your throne of power, aligning your will with divine order. Now these 3 words rise together, forming a sacred declaration. They are not fragments, but a trinity of creation. When spoken as one, they are the symphony of your soul. They are the language of miracles. So let us speak together. Wherever you are, whisper it, declare it. Let the vibration move through your very being. I am aligned with divine abundance. I have everything needed for my sacred path. I choose to walk in faith, power, and love. Feel the resonance of those words, not as wishes, not as fragile hopes, but as living decrees. Every time you speak them, you are not begging the universe. You are commanding in harmony with divine law. For the power of the tongue is no metaphor. It is the engine of creation. This is your transformation declaration. It is not bound to this moment alone. It is yours to return to when shadows arise, when fear whispers, when doubt knocks at the silent gate of destiny. Speak these words, and the gate opens. Speak these words, and the soul remembers its compass. And now I invite you into something sacred. Do not only listen, do not only agree, step into this declaration with me. Right now, write in the comments which of these 3 words you will focus on first. Will it be I am, the word of identity? Will it be I have, the word of multiplication? Or will it be I choose, the word of authority? Your decision marks the beginning of your alignment. Your written word anchors the spoken one. Remember this. Small shifts in words create great shifts in destiny. One phrase repeated in fear can close doors for a lifetime, but one phrase spoken in faith can open doors that no man can shut. Every kingdom begins with a sentence. Every miracle begins with a word. The universe bends to the vibration of the tongue, so stand tall in this triumph. Your journey does not end here, it begins anew. For you are no longer one who speaks carelessly. You are one who speaks divinely. Your words are no longer empty echoes. They are the brushstrokes painting the canvas of destiny. I charge you now with a sacred call to action. Continue walking this path of divine wisdom. Subscribe, not merely to a channel, but to a movement of consciousness, a community that speaks the language of miracles. Stay close, for each word you hear will remind you of who you are, what you have, and what you choose. And as you step forward into the days ahead, carry this final truth in your heart. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of fate. You are the living temple of creation, and your words are the keys that open every door. So go now and speak the language of miracles. The universe is listening. Why do some people walk into a room and instantly command respect without saying a word? It is not their clothing. It is not their wealth. It is not even their title. It is something deeper, something invisible, something sacred. It is the presence of divine law flowing through them, wrapping them in a mantle that the human eye cannot see but every soul can feel. Before we dive in, subscribe to this channel for daily teachings that awaken the hidden power within you. Now listen closely. This hidden power is not about domination. It is not about force. It is not about ego puffing itself up. True power is the stillness of divine authority moving through a human vessel. It is like walking with a crown no one sees, yet everyone senses, a crown not made of gold, but of light. A crown that cannot be stolen, cannot be bought, cannot be counterfeited. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that divine laws rule the unseen world, and when you align with them, you step into a different order of reality. People may not know why they respect you, why they hesitate before crossing you, why they second guess before speaking against you. But in truth, it is not you they fear. It is the divine order you carry. It is the spiritual authority resting on your shoulders. Imagine entering a room filled with chatter and noise. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. Words slow down. Eyes turn, not because you shouted for attention, but because your presence announced something greater than sound. This is the hidden power that makes the world step back. It is not intimidation, it is reverence. It is the recognition of something unshakable. What gives birth to this power? It is not human striving. It is not manipulation. It is not charisma polished by practice. It is the alignment of your soul with divine truth. It is the law moving through you, like a river that knows its course and cannot be stopped. When you walk in this alignment, gossip loses its sting, jealousy falls flat, doubt scatters like smoke in the wind. The world has always known this presence. Ancient kings carried it, prophets radiated it, spiritual teachers embodied it, not because they demanded respect, but because they carried a fire that could not be quenched. That same fire waits within you. It is not reserved for the chosen few. It is ignited the moment you surrender ego and step into divine law. Think of it this way. When the sun rises, shadows retreat without protest. The sun does not argue with the darkness. It does not convince. It does not beg. It simply rises. That is the nature of divine power. When you carry it, you do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to chase validation. The world feels it, and the world adjusts. This is why the scriptures and the teachings of metaphysical masters always return to alignment. The true warrior does not fight endlessly with the world. The true warrior aligns with the higher laws, and the world has no choice but to bend. When Florence said your word is your wand, she was pointing to this truth. The words you carry, the energy you release, the silence you hold, all reveal what law governs your spirit. Do not underestimate silence. A silent soul in divine authority speaks louder than the loudest voice in the room. People may whisper, but whispers fall powerless against the stillness of truth. This is why the fearful mock what they cannot understand. But even in their mocking, they bow within. For something in them knows. Something in them recognizes. Something in them fears the alignment you carry. The fear is not of you. The fear is of the divine that shines through you. It is a holy fear. The same way sailors fear the ocean's depth. The same way climbers fear the mountain's height. It is not terror. It is reverence. It is awe. It is the acknowledgement that they are in the presence of something beyond their control. And when you master these divine laws, you too will carry this sacred presence. The world will not always clap for you. Some will misunderstand. Some will envy. Some will resist. But even in resistance, they will know. Even in silence, they will sense. Even in denial, they will feel. And that is enough. You do not need to force this presence. You need only to align with it. Align your words with truth. Align your heart with faith. Align your actions with divine order. And when you do, an invisible shield forms around you. Not a shield of hardness, but a shield of radiance. It is the aura of one who knows who they are and whose they are. Can you feel it? The pull of this truth, the whisper, telling you that you are meant for more than blending in, that you are meant to carry the invisible crown, that you are meant to walk with the authority of divine law. This is the hidden power that makes the world step back. Few find it, fewer still master it, but those who do, change every atmosphere they enter. They do not chase power, power chases them. They do not seek fear, fear follows them. They do not demand respect, respect bows to them. As we move forward, I will reveal the sacred laws that unlock this authority within you. Each one is a key. Each one is a step. Each one moves you closer to walking as one who cannot be shaken. Stay with me, because once you understand and apply these laws, you will never walk into a room the same way again. There is a law that few ever master. yet it determines the way the world responds to you. It is not written on paper. It is not taught in schools. It is not passed down in casual conversation. It is the law of inner command, the voice you carry within, the words you speak to yourself in silence, and the tone you release into the world create the very conditions you live in. Florence Scovel Shinn declared with timeless clarity, "Your word is your wand." What you speak is not empty sound. It is creative force. It shapes your subconscious, and your subconscious then shapes your reality. When you speak with conviction, the invisible laws of spirit bow to your word, and when you speak with apology, hesitation, or fear, the world reflects that same weakness back to you. Think of a general standing before his soldiers on the battlefield. The men do not follow him because of his uniform. They do not follow him because of his height or his strength. They follow because of the tone that carries certainty. The general's words cut through fear. They establish order. They leave no space for doubt. That is the power of inner command. Now think of your own life. How many times have you spoken to yourself with weakness? You told yourself you were not ready. You told yourself you were unlucky. You told yourself you were less than others. And with each word, your subconscious bowed its head and said, "Yes, it is so." The world then rose up to mirror that weakness. Doors closed. People ignored. Opportunities slipped away. Not because you lacked ability, but because your inner voice lacked command. Contrast that with the voice of divine authority. This voice is steady. It does not shout in desperation. It does not beg. It does not wobble. It speaks with the stillness of faith. When you say to yourself, "I am guided. I am equipped. I am unstoppable because God goes before me," your subconscious rises in attention. The universe bends to the certainty of that word. People hear something in your tone they cannot explain. They sense that you are not to be toyed with, not to be doubted, not to be ignored. The weak inner voice always apologizes. The strong inner voice speaks truth and lets silence do the rest. The weak inner voice waits for permission. The strong inner voice declares, "I am already chosen." The weak inner voice rehearses fear. The strong inner voice rehearses faith until faith becomes its nature. This is where transformation begins, not with others, not with the world, not with your critics. It begins with the voice that speaks in the secret chambers of your own mind. If that voice is fractured, your life will feel fractured. If that voice is steady, your life will begin to steady. Let me guide you through a practice. Close your eyes for a moment and see yourself as a king or a queen standing before a great court. In that court sit your thoughts, your habits, your doubts, your dreams. They wait for instruction. They do not move until you speak. If your tone is hesitant, your court becomes restless. Confusion spreads. But if your tone is grounded, if your words are spoken with calm conviction, every thought rises to attention. The kingdom within becomes orderly, and the kingdom without follows. This is the essence of the law of inner command. Life listens to the voice you use with yourself. Now, take these words and let them become your shield. Repeat them not as empty sounds, but as sacred declarations. I speak with the voice of divine authority. My words carry the power of truth. My inner command shapes my destiny. I align with the voice of God within me, and the world recognizes that authority. Feel those words settling into your spirit. Feel them rewiring the voice that has doubted for years. Notice the shift in your posture when you say them with conviction. Notice how your chest expands, how your shoulders rise, how your mind sharpens. This is not imagination. This is spiritual law in motion. Remember, the world does not fear your ego. The world does not tremble at arrogance. The world responds to divine certainty. When you carry it, even those who oppose you hesitate before moving against you. They may not understand why. They may not put it into words. But something in them senses the presence of order. Something in them recognizes the voice of inner command flowing through you. Florence taught that doubt is the great thief. Every time you say "I can't," you place shackles on your own feet. Every time you say "I don't know," you blindfold your own eyes. But every time you say "I will," every time you say "I am," every time you declare with conviction that divine supply is yours, chains fall and paths open. Chains fall and paths open. You must train your inner dialogue the way a musician trains their ear. Refuse the noise of fear. Refuse the clamor of confusion. Replace it with the calm notes of certainty. This is not denial. This is alignment. The law of inner command is not about pretending. It is about speaking truth so deeply that your entire being bows to it. Here is a prayer for your spirit. Say it slowly, with presence. Divine Source, fill my voice with your authority. Let my words carry light into the darkness of doubt. Let my tongue speak only what aligns with truth. Let my heart believe what my mouth declares, and let my life become a testimony to the power of your word. Now, imagine walking into tomorrow carrying this inner command. Notice how people respond. Notice how conversations shift. Notice how opportunities approach instead of running away. This is not chance. It is law. The law of inner command ensures that what you speak in faith takes shape in reality. The world does not bow to hesitation. It bows to certainty. And when your certainty comes from the divine, nothing can stand against it. So begin now. Train your inner voice until it no longer wavers. Let your words become steady rivers of truth, and watch as the world begins to step back, not in fear of you, but in reverence of the divine certainty shining through you. This is the first key, the law of inner command. Without it, all other laws collapse. With it, all other laws take root. Hold this key, practice it, embody it. For when you master your inner command, you master the first gate of divine power. And this is only the beginning. The next law will reveal a force even more hidden, yet even more powerful. Walk with me into it, because once you see it, your life will never be the same. The second divine law is perhaps the most misunderstood, yet it carries within it a key that unlocks unshakable power. It is the law of non-resistance. Florence Scovel Shinn said it with clarity. What you resist persists. Resistance is not strength. Resistance is fear disguised as defense. Resistance is the frantic pushing against what feels threatening, not realizing that every push tightens the chain that binds you to the very thing you wish to escape. Imagine standing in a darkened room, shadows dancing on the wall. You strike at them with your fists. You wrestle with them as though they are real enemies. Yet the moment light is brought in, the shadows vanish without a fight. This is the essence of non-resistance. When you stop wrestling with shadows, they disappear in the light of divine order. The reactive person spends their days in struggle. They fight every insult, chase down every rumor, argue with every critic. They become exhausted, tangled in webs, spun by their own resistance. They believe this is power, but it is actually controlled, surrendered to the enemy. For the reactive soul is easily provoked, easily manipulated. Their energy belongs not to themselves, but to the one who knows how to push their buttons. Now, consider the non-resistant soul.com, centered, untouched by the chaos around them. They do not waste words in defense, nor do they lower themselves to battle with shadows. Their power is not loud, yet it is undeniable. And here is the paradox. It is the one who does not fight who is most feared. For you cannot manipulate the unmoved. You cannot enslave the surrendered. You cannot control the one who refuses to resist. Think of the warrior, who steps into the battlefield not with the sword raised high, but with a stillness that unnerves the enemy. He does not fight every strike. He does not answer every provocation. His silence disarms more than his blade ever could. His composure becomes his shield. His trust in divine order becomes his weapon. The enemies fall, not by the force of his hand, but by the futility of their own attack. This is the warrior spirit of non-resistance. Florence taught that life is a game of giving and receiving, and resistance is a refusal to play by divine law. It says to God, I do not trust your timing. I must fight for myself. But surrender whispers, I release. I let God handle this. I step aside, and I allow divine wisdom to arrange what I could never arrange. When you move into non-resistance, you no longer drain your spirit battling shadows. You become the light that dissolves them. Pause here and ask yourself a sacred question. Where in my life am I feeding resistance instead of trusting divine order? Write it down. Journal it. Do not rush through it, for here lies a mirror. Perhaps it is in your relationships, where you fight to prove your worth. Perhaps it is in your finances, where fear drives you to push, grasp, and cling. Perhaps it is in your own mind, where you wrestle with self-doubt, giving it more life by trying to silence it. Notice it with honesty, then breathe. For awareness itself begins the release. Now, let us practice together. Take a slow, deliberate breath in, hold it for a moment, feeling the tension that resistance creates. And now, exhale. As you breathe out, whisper softly, I release. I let God handle this. Feel the loosening. Feel the space opening within you. Resistance contracts, non-resistance expands. Each breath becomes a silent act of surrender, a quiet rebellion against fear. You may think surrender makes you weak, but look again. Non-resistance is not the posture of the defeated. It is the posture of the divinely backed. When you stop resisting, you declare to life, I am not afraid. and fear cannot dwell in the heart that trusts. The strongest souls are not those who shout the loudest or fight the hardest. They are the ones who have discovered the silent gate of destiny, the path that opens when you cease pushing against what was never yours to fight. In truth, resistance is an illusion of control. It makes you believe you are doing something powerful, when all you are doing is feeding the very thing you fear. Non-resistance is a higher kind of control, the control of self, the mastery of inner response, the unwavering choice to stand in divine order no matter what storms rage outside. Florence would often say that life gives back what you affirm. Resistance affirms the power of the problem. Surrender affirms the power of God. Which affirmation are you living by today? Every word, every thought, every reaction is a declaration. When you react with anger, you declare the enemy has power. When you remain still, you declare that only God governs your life. Let us anchor this law with an affirmation of divine authority. Speak it as if your soul itself is listening. I release resistance. I refuse to wrestle with shadows. I trust the divine order of my life. What is mine by right will come. What does not belong will fall away without struggle. I am unmoved. I am free. I am upheld by God's perfect law. Breathe those words into your being. Let them carve out space within you. Let them dissolve the heaviness of struggle. Each time resistance rises, return to this prayer. I release. I let God handle this. It will become your invisible shield. This is the paradoxical power that others will feel in you. They will sense it, though they may not understand it. They will realize they cannot provoke you, cannot sway you, cannot chain you to their games, and this will unsettle them, because true fear does not come from your fight. True fear comes from your unshakable stillness. This is the law of non-resistance, the law that disarms enemies without a single strike, the law that dissolves shadows in the light of surrender, the law that frees you from the endless cycle of reaction and ushers you into divine authority no one can shake. And, as you walk in this law, you will feel it, the release, the lightness, the opening of the silent gate of destiny before you. Step through it, for the next law builds upon this freedom, carrying you deeper into the voice of divine command that cannot be denied. There is a power greater than force, a strength deeper than speed, a weapon so subtle that most overlook it. It is the law of divine timing. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that life unfolds by the rhythm of a divine clock, and nothing can rush what God has ordained. Impatience is the disease of the fearful, but patience aligned with spirit is the shield of the invincible. Consider the seed. It does not fear the winter. It does not beg the earth to hurry. It rests, knowing spring is promised. It knows the sun will return, and the soil will soften. It does not waste energy demanding a harvest before its time, for it trusts the invisible schedule written into creation itself. This is divine timing. Impatience makes you weak. It exposes your hand. It allows others to manipulate you, pressure you, and bargain you down. When you cannot wait, you become easy to move, easy to control. You trade diamonds for stones because you cannot stand the silence of waiting. But the one who knows, divine timing cannot be rushed. They are immovable, like a mountain that does not bow to the storm. They wait with calm authority. They know that destiny cannot be delayed, nor can it be forced. When you walk in divine timing, you carry infinite leverage. Others sense it. They feel the weight of your stillness. They realize you cannot be tricked into desperation. For you know the truth. What is yours will come, and it cannot be stolen. Picture yourself standing before the great divine clock of the universe. Its golden hands move with perfect precision, never early, never late. You stand there knowing no man, no circumstance, no enemy can move those hands before their appointed hour. And when the clock strikes for you, doors open, opportunities align, and no power on earth can keep it shut. This is the certainty of divine timing. Leaders who carry this law into their lives are the ones who command respect. They do not rush into battles unprepared. They do not force doors open that are not meant for them. They move when spirit whispers, not when fear shouts. History honors those who knew how to wait for the right moment, for timing wins wars that strength alone cannot. Think of a chess master. They do not move every piece quickly. They wait. They study, they see the board in silence, knowing that one well-timed move can turn the entire game. That is the wisdom of divine patience. It is not passivity, it is precision. Now let us practice together. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Imagine yourself before that divine clock, radiant and eternal. Watch the hands move slowly, without haste, without error. Feel the tension of your impatience melt, as you realize you cannot miss what belongs to you. Whisper within yourself, I move only when God moves me. No man, no circumstance can hurry my destiny. Speak it again with more authority, letting the words settle into your bones. This affirmation is your anchor. When you carry this law, others notice. They sense the patience in you, and it unnerves them. They cannot rush you into choices that betray your path. They cannot lure you with false urgency. They realize you are beyond their control, for your compass is not their pressure, but God's perfect clock. This patience is not passive waiting. It is an active alignment. It is listening to the divine orchestra where every note arrives exactly when it must. It is trusting the silent gate of destiny, knowing it will swing open at the appointed time. The impatient pound on the door. The wise stand ready.com, knowing it will open effortlessly when the hour arrives. And here is the paradox. Those who seem to move the slowest are often the ones advancing the fastest, for their steps are ordered. They do not waste energy forcing what is not ready. They conserve their power until it can be released in a moment of divine precision. Let us seal this with a prayer of surrender. Place your hand over your heart and speak softly. Spirit of truth, teach me to trust the sacred rhythm of my life. Teach me to wait with courage, to move with certainty, and to rest in the knowing that nothing can delay what is divinely mine. I release my fear of time. I rest in the eternal now, where all is unfolding perfectly. Feel the quiet power of that prayer, for in it, you are no longer a prisoner of impatience. You are no longer bargaining with fear. You are resting in divine order, unshakable, untouchable. Others may laugh at your waiting. They may call it weakness, but when your moment comes, it will be undeniable. And in that moment, they will remember, the one who waits on God cannot be defeated. This is the law of divine timing, the law that frees you from fear of delay, the law that gives you authority over pressure, the law that teaches you that destiny is not rushed, but revealed. And as you walk in this law, a new presence will surround you. People will sense they cannot control you, they cannot manipulate you, they cannot make you move before you are ready. And that realization will create in them not mockery, but awe. For the soul that trusts divine timing carries the weight of eternity in its step. There is a mental art older than strategy and subtler than will. It is the law of substitution. Florence taught that the mind cannot hold to contrary thoughts at the same time. When you refuse to feed fear, and instead turn your thought to its higher opposite, the fabric of your inner world rewires. This is not denial. It is the deliberate choosing of truth over terror. Darkness cannot be removed by wrestling with it. Only light substituted in its place dissolves it. Imagine a room filled with smoke. A person arguing with the smoke will only cough and grow tired. A different person opens a window and lets the breeze carry the haze away. Your task is to open the window. When fear appears, do not wrestle. Replace. Let a truer sentence occupy the seat. Fear vacates. Watch what the subtle field of mind does in response. Others sense this replacement long before they hear your explanations. When you habitually change fear into faith, you become emotionally unavailable to manipulation. People who depend on your anxieties notice that their levers no longer work. They begin to move more carefully around you because your interior economy has shifted from scarcity to supply. This is why substitution creates a kind of untouchability. It is not arrogance. It is sovereignty. Let us practice with an exercise that will anchor the law in muscle and memory. When a fear thought surfaces, pause and name it with precision. Say silently, I see you fear of not being enough. Then immediately speak the higher phrase, God is my supply. I do not fear lack. Feel the tension in your chest loosen as the new sentence takes root. Repeat this swap 3 times. Repeat it until the nervous system begins to expect faith and not panic. Here are practical swaps to use today. Whenever scarcity whispers, speak abundance instead. Whenever doubt nudges, speak certain truth instead. When shame arrives, speak worth instead. When resentment rises, speak release instead. When urgency pulls, speak patient trust instead. Write these pairs in your journal now and choose one to rehearse aloud. Journal prompt: what is one fear thought I will replace today with a divine truth? Answer it in a single clear line and keep it where you can see it. Do not undercut the practice with qualifiers. Say the chosen substitution as if it were already fact until your inner ear learns the new music. The law of substitution works because the mind obeys the last clear instruction it receives. If you keep rehearsing lack, doubt, and smallness, these will become your reality. But if you consistently offer higher thoughts, the inner world aligns and the outer world responds. Now let me give you examples of sacred rephrases to weave into daily life. I replace panic with peaceful certainty. I replace fear with the knowing of divine provision. I replace apology for my existence with quiet worth. I replace chasing with receiving. I replace scarcity with the constant flow of supply. I replace doubt with the steady rope of faith. I replace weakness with the strength that comes from surrender. Speak them not as slogans but as small miracles you will perform repeatedly. Make them tactile. Write them on a card. Place the card under your pillow. Read one each morning and whisper one before sleep. Use your body to teach your mind the new rhythm. Here is a self-talk script you can use when you feel the old patterns returning. Close your eyes. Place both hands over the center of your chest. Breathe in slowly and name the fear aloud. Exhale and say the substitution firmly. Repeat this 3 times and then breathe silently for 10 slow counts. Notice how the chest softens. Notice how the mind steadies. Transformation rests in these small rituals more than in rare grand gestures. To speed the change, practice a rapid-fire substitution sequence out loud now. Say these pairs in steady rhythm and let each replacement land like a drumbeat. Fear to faith, lack to supply, doubt to certainty, weakness to strength, confusion to clarity, anxiety to calm, neediness to contentment, shame to worth, hustle to rest, complaint to gratitude, speed to patience, panic to peace. Each pair is a step up the ladder of inner sovereignty. Say them fast now and feel the inner tempo shift. After a week of repetition, you will notice fewer automatic pulls toward panic. You will find yourself choosing the higher thought almost without effort. This mastery changes how people meet you in the world. They will test you. They will provoke the old responses. When you consistently substitute, their attempts will reveal nothing to use. They will hesitate, not because you threatened them, but because your interior has become a closed book. You have become economically invisible to their weaponized emotions. Here is a short prayer to seal the practice. Speak it softly with presence. The Spirit of Truth, teach me to choose the higher thought. Replace my smallness with your vast view. Make my words instruments of blessing and not of fear. Let my mind be a sanctuary where only the light is invited. So be it. Practice this daily and witness the quiet revolution inside you. As substitution becomes second nature, a new posture will form. You will stand in a calm that others mistake for invulnerability. Begin with small tests in ordinary moments, not only during crisis. Let delays, emails, and wait times become your training ground. Repeat substitutions until your nervous system no longer defaults to panic. Repetition rewires habit, and habit orders destiny. People will sense the new frequency and give you space. Your outer world will align with this interior law. Now, with substitution forming your mind, you are fully prepared to receive the crown of divine authority. There comes a moment on the spiritual path when you no longer strive to be seen, no longer grasp to be heard, no longer battle to prove your worth. You simply become. You become light. You become radiance. This is the highest teaching, the crown of the laws, the unspoken power that Florence Scovel Shinn called the divine presence of spirit shining through you. True mastery is not loud. It does not need to announce itself. It moves in silence, yet its silence shifts the atmosphere. Spiritual radiance is not about forcing anyone to recognize you. It is about emanating a frequency so high, so pure, that recognition happens without a word. People sense it before you speak. They feel it when you walk into a room. They pause, not knowing why their chest suddenly feels lighter, or why their fear begins to loosen its grip. Radiance is the invisible crown of those who have mastered the laws. Like the sun, you do not chase shadows. You rise, and they disappear. You do not argue with darkness. You embody light, and all that is false dissolves in your presence. This is the law of radiance, the divine law that says your greatest weapon is your vibration, your greatest sermon is your presence, and your greatest victory is the peace you carry. Think of the journey we have taken. The law of command taught you to speak with authority, to give your word the force of divine order. The law of non-resistance showed you how to release struggle, to let go so that God could move freely through you. The law of divine timing revealed that the universe unfolds in perfect rhythm, that you cannot be late for what is yours. The law of substitution taught you to replace fear with faith, doubt with certainty, weakness with divine strength. Together these laws weave a sacred garment, and when you wear it, you shine. Radiance is the natural fruit of divine alignment. This is not theory. This is transformation. When you embody these laws, you no longer need to force respect. You command it by your very being. Your presence becomes an unshakable vibration of peace. Your aura carries the quiet thunder of victory. Even those who oppose you cannot stand long in your atmosphere, for radiance disarms hostility. It silences enemies, not through confrontation, but through undeniable presence. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine. See yourself walking into any situation, a boardroom, a family gathering, a place where you once felt small. Now imagine yourself clothed in golden light. It surrounds you, guards you, strengthens you. It is not something you try to project. It is who you are. You walk in as a sun, steady and sovereign, and without effort, every shadow withdraws. Nothing can touch you. Nothing can diminish you. You are untouchable because you are radiance itself. Whisper this to your soul. I walk in divine radiance. No darkness can stand before me. My presence is peace. My presence is power. I need not strive to be noticed. I am noticed because spirit moves through me. I do not chase opportunity. Opportunity recognizes my light. I do not beg for love. Love flows to me because I am love expressed. This is my divine radiance, and it cannot be dimmed. Do you feel the shift in your body as you affirm these truths? Do you sense the way fear loosens its grip? How your chest begins to open, how your spirit straightens as if remembering its crown? That is not imagination. That is alignment. That is radiance. The great secret is this. Radiance is not something you try to create. It is the natural expression of a soul that has surrendered to divine law. When your thoughts, words, and actions align with truth, light spills out of you without effort. Just as the sun does not strain to shine, you do not strain to glow. You simply rise into who you are, and the world responds. This is why the radiant soul is both loved and feared. Loved by those who seek light, feared by those who cling to shadows, not because you harm them, but because your very presence exposes what cannot survive in truth. Radiance reveals, radiance heals, radiance protects. Now I ask you, what would your life look like if you walked daily in this light? What doors would open if your presence spoke before you uttered a word? What conflicts would dissolve if you carried unshakable peace into the room? The law of radiance is not for tomorrow. It is for now. You are not waiting to become radiant. You are radiant. The only step left is to believe it, to claim it, to live it. Here is your sacred visualization. Each morning, before you step into the world, see yourself surrounded by golden brilliance. Imagine your heart glowing like a sun, rays of divine power extending outward. With each breath, feel your aura expand until you know, with absolute certainty, that you are divinely guarded, divinely guided, divinely unstoppable. Carry this image into your day. Watch how people shift when you enter the room. Some will smile without knowing why. Others will soften. Some will fear, but even that fear is respect for the light they cannot control. Say this prayer with me now. Spirit of the Most High, let my life be a mirror of your radiance. Let my presence bring peace where there is chaos, strength where there is weakness, light where there is shadow. Make me a vessel of your divine glow, untouchable, unstoppable, unbreakable. I walk not in my power, but in yours. I am radiant because you are radiant in me. Amen. This is the final victory. Not wealth alone, not influence alone, but radiance, the eternal wealth of spirit shining through you. When you master the laws, you no longer just change your life. You change every life you encounter. You awaken souls simply by being. Now, my friend, embody this law daily. Walk in radiance. Let your words carry the weight of command. Let your spirit flow in none. Let your trust rest in divine timing. Let every thought of fear be substituted with faith. And let your presence glow so brightly that it leaves an imprint wherever you go. This is the crown. This is the triumph. This is the final law. If this teaching has awakened something in you, share it with another soul who is ready to rise, and subscribe for more daily wisdom that will keep your spirit aligned with divine law. For when many shine, the world itself is transfigured, and today, you begin to shine. Have you ever noticed that the louder a person argues, the weaker they appear inside? Why do the truly powerful remain calm, while others fight for attention? Why does the one who speaks least often hold the most authority in the room? Before we continue, Make sure to subscribe for daily motivational and spiritual guidance. Imagine a great emperor seated on his throne. Around him, voices clash like steel on steel. Arguments rise and fall like crashing waves, but the emperor remains still. His silence carries more weight than their shouts. Without lifting his voice, he reigns. His very stillness commands that this is not just an image of kingship. It is a mirror of the soul. For within you, there is a throne, and every time you argue, you step down from it. You leave the seat of power to fight among the restless crowd. But when you remain calm, when you refuse the bait of resistance, you remain upon the throne of your own spirit. Florence Scovel Shinn called this the law of non. She taught that life moves through divine currents. To fight against them is to exhaust yourself. To flow with them is to find strength beyond measure. Every argument is resistance. Every attempt to prove yourself drains the soul. But silence aligns you with the current of God. Why do we argue? Because we fear losing control. Because deep inside there is a voice that whispers, if I do not defend myself, I will be defeated. Yet the truth is the opposite. Arguing is not proof of strength. It is evidence of fear. It is the language of the restless heart. God control is never found in the raised voice. It is found in surrender. When you yield your fear to divine law, you discover that no human opinion can diminish you. No accusation can erase your worth. No debate can touch the eternal truth of who you are. Picture a storm raging across the sky. The winds howl, the rain hammers the earth, but storms always burn themselves out. They spend their strength in fury. Now picture a still lake. It does not fight. It does not resist. It reflects heaven in its silence. Which one holds more lasting power? When you argue, you are like the storm, loud, restless, temporary. When you are silent, you are like the lake, reflecting, eternal, unshaken. There is a secret here. Arguing drains your energy outward. Every word becomes fuel for the fire of conflict. But silence gathers energy inward. It becomes power stored, ready to create. Your silence is not empty. It is creative force waiting for the right moment. Think of your words as seeds. To argue is to scatter them on barren ground. They sprout nothing but weeds, but silence plants those seeds in fertile soil. In silence, your words are preserved for sacred use. When the time comes to speak, they carry the weight of heaven itself. The world believes that victory belongs to the loudest, the one with the last word, but spiritual law reverses this belief. True victory belongs to the one who does not need to argue, the one who knows that truth is self-sustaining. Truth does not shout, it stands. When you are silent in the face of provocation, you are not weak. You are invoking the law of none. You are saying without words, I do not fight shadows, I walk in light, and the light reveals what no argument ever could. Now, pause for a moment, bring to mind the last time you argued. Feel the heat of it, the quickened pulse, the words you wanted to win with. Did it leave you stronger, or did it leave you empty? Now, imagine if you had stayed still. Imagine the calm of refusing to enter the storm. Feel the dignity of silence. Can you sense how different that moment would have been? There is an inner throne within you, and every time you argue, you abandon it. Every time you defend yourself against shadows, you give away your crown. But every time you remain silent, you sit taller upon that throne. You wear the crown of divine authority. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that resistance creates more of what you resist. Argue with fear, and fear grows. Argue with lack, and lack multiplies. Argue with insult, and insult deepens. But when you refuse to argue, when you flow with divine law, the struggle dissolves, the battle fades, the victory is already yours. Let your silence be the sacred gate of destiny. Let it be the place where your soul stands tall while others exhaust themselves in noise. The emperor does not argue with the crowd, he reigns above it. You too are called to reign over your emotions, not wrestle with them in the dust. Affirm within yourself now. Say quietly, I release the need to argue. I remain still. I am aligned with divine law. My silence holds power. My truth needs no defense. Feel these words as living force in your spirit. See yourself as the emperor unmoved. See yourself as the lake reflecting heaven. See yourself as the soul that commands without shouting. And let this reflection sink deep. What if your silence is not weakness but the doorway to a higher victory? Because it is. And in the next part of this journey, you will discover why silence is more than absence of words. It is the invisible law of victory itself, a force that no argument can stand against. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that words are wands, they create worlds. But when we argue, we cast spells against ourselves. Every heated word thrown into the air is not just sound, it is energy. It is a vibration that ricochets through the invisible realms and returns multiplied. This is why arguments never truly end. They echo long after the voices fall silent. They linger in the subconscious, shaping beliefs, creating enemies within, wounding the very spirit that sought to defend itself. But there is another way, a higher law, the invisible law of victory. It is a law known only to those who choose silence over struggle. It is not the silence of weakness, nor the silence of retreat. It is the silence of alignment, the silence of one who knows that divine justice is already at work. Florence called it the law of substitution. For every word of conflict, you can choose a word of creation. For every inner protest, you can declare an inner affirmation. Instead of feeding the fire of argument, you kindle the light of faith. Picture your soul as a divine architect. Every thought is a blueprint, every word a stone. When you argue, you are not defending your temple, you are throwing stones at its foundation. Cracks appear, strength is wasted, the structure falters. But when you hold your silence and let sacred words rise within, you lay golden bricks. Your temple grows taller, stronger, radiant with light. You are building a dwelling place for victory itself. There is a story whispered across time, of a warrior who sought to conquer a kingdom. He trained his sword, sharpened his skill, studied the art of war. But on the battlefield he did something strange. He lowered his blade. He did not fight. His enemies, confused and furious, struck at shadows, wrestled with their own rage, exhausted themselves with endless blows. One by one, they fell to the ground, defeated not by his hand, but by their own fury. And when the dust cleared, the warrior stood untouched, victorious through silence. This is the essence of the law. You do not win by fighting every voice that rises against you. You win by refusing to descend into their battlefield. You remain still, anchored in spirit, until the clamor destroys itself. Psychology confirms what the mystics have always known. Arguing strengthens the ego. It makes the small self grow louder, hungrier, desperate to be right. But silence strengthens the spirit. It anchors you in the unseen, where true power gathers. When you choose silence, you are not passive. You are commanding. You are summoning the greater forces of alignment. You are saying to the universe, I do not fight. I allow the divine to fight for me. Speak these words when the urge to argue rises within you. I release the need to argue. My silence commands respect. Divine justice speaks for me. These are not just sentences. They are spells of sovereignty. They disarm the chaos within and clothe you in dignity without. Imagine the energy of argument as a storm, winds raging, waters crashing, voices colliding like thunder. Now imagine silence as the eye of the storm. In the center there is calm, there is stillness, there is command. The one who stands in the center does not struggle against the storm. The storm struggles against itself. And when the storm is spent, only the still one remains. This is why silence is not weakness. It is the posture of divine timing. When the word finally comes, it is not spoken in haste. It is not shouted in fear. It descends like thunder from heaven, unchallengeable, unstoppable. The silent one is never voiceless. They are simply waiting until their words carry the weight of eternity. So the next time an argument invites you into its fire, step back, feel the rise of ego and smile gently at its hunger. Then choose another path. Substitute the impulse to defend with the power to declare. Say within yourself, God defends me perfectly. My victory is assured. And watch. Watch how the heat fades. Watch how your spirit grows tall. Watch how respect finds its way back to you, because silence commands what shouting cannot. Florence knew this truth. To argue is to fight shadows. To stay silent is to walk in light. And in the end, light always wins. The invisible law of victory is not about suppressing your truth. It is about aligning your truth with higher law. It is about trusting that what must be spoken will be spoken. But at the right moment, with divine force behind it. And so I ask you now, how many battles in your life were only prolonged because you could not resist the need to argue? How many nights of peace were lost to rehearsing what you wished you had said? And how much power was drained by the endless theater of proving yourself right? You do not need to prove, you only need to align. Say it with me now. I align with silence. I align with divine justice. I align with the victory already written for me. The soul's compass does not point to every passing debate. It points only to destiny, and destiny is not swayed by noise. The invisible law is simple. That which resists collapses. That which aligns endures. The fighter grows weary. The silent one grows strong. And in the final hour, the one who trusted silence becomes the one who inherits the crown. This is your inheritance. This is your weaponless weapon. To never waste words in quarrel. To never scatter energy in vain debate, but to build, silently, brick by golden brick, the temple of victory within. And when you stand there, radiant in stillness, the world will look and wonder. They will ask, how did you win? And your soul will whisper, by refusing to fight. Now, let us go deeper, for if silence is victory, then why do we argue at all? Why do we take the bait of conflict, even when we know it leaves us weaker? In the next step of our journey, we will uncover the hidden trap of argument, the emotional hooks that keep the soul entangled, and we will learn how to break them forever. Why do we argue? Not because of truth, but because of fear. Fear of being unseen. Fear of being small. Fear of losing control. Every raised voice is not about the words spoken. It is about the trembling insecurity beneath them. The ego is clever. It hides its weakness behind a mask of certainty. It shouts louder when it feels powerless. It insists on the last word because it fears being forgotten. But the soul does not need to shout. The soul is eternal. It needs no defense. Arguing is like pouring water into a cracked vessel. No matter how much you pour, nothing is gained. The vessel leaks. Energy seeps away. The more you fight to hold on, the emptier you feel. But silence is like holding a sword still in its sheath. The strength is not in swinging wildly, but in knowing you could. Power contained is power multiplied. The one who restrains commands more than the one who rages. Picture a crowded market. Voices rise in chaos. Sellers shouting prices. Buyers bargaining with passion. The noise blends into confusion. Yet, in the middle of the uproar, one merchant does not shout. He whispers with calm certainty. His words do not strain. His gaze does not beg. And strangely, he draws the highest price. His confidence, carried in stillness, speaks louder than all the noise around him. So it is with you. The louder the ego shouts, the more it reveals its poverty. But when you stand in silence, aligned with spirit, the world listens without you demanding it. When you argue, you hand your opponent control over your state. You let them decide your rhythm, your mood, your mind. But when you remain silent, you master the atmosphere. You stay sovereign in your own kingdom. The ego thrives on the illusion of battle. It convinces you that winning the argument means winning life. Yet every victory of the ego is hollow. It is triumph without substance. The spirit knows another way. True power is never about crushing another voice. It is about aligning with the voice within that never needs to be proven. Take a moment now. Look back at your life. Write down the last 3 times you argued. What was truly beneath your words? Was it fear of being unseen? Fear of being wrong? Fear of losing something you thought was yours? And ask yourself, if you had chosen silence, what would have been created instead? Would peace have grown? Would your dignity have remained unshaken? Would the argument have dissolved without ever being fought? This is not about shame. It is about awareness. For once you see the trap of ego, you cannot fall into it the same way again. The truth is this: you have no need to defend yourself. Truth itself is your defense, and truth does not argue. It simply stands, eternal, untouchable. A diamond does not beg to be recognized as a diamond. It shines, so let the world shout if it must. Let the ego crave its applause. You are not here to win the noise. You are here to embody the silence that commands. Feel this shift within you. The next time someone provokes you, pause. Let their words hang in the air like arrows missing their mark. Smile inwardly, for you know they cannot touch what is eternal. The ego wants to trap you in its game, but you are no longer playing. This is freedom. To see the shadow of argument for what it is. To recognize the ego's hunger and refuse to feed it. To choose the strength of silence over the weakness of noise. And in that silence, you discover something greater. You realize silence is not empty. It is filled with divine presence. It is alive with higher guidance. It is the silent gate of destiny, opening into a path where your words, when spoken, carry the weight of heaven itself. Now we step forward. If silence frees us from the trap of ego, How then do we turn that silence into divine action? How do we let our restraint become a channel for miraculous timing, for words that move mountains and actions that shift worlds? That is where we go next. That the world tells you to fight, heaven tells you to be still, and in stillness, the universe fights for you. You have been trained by society to defend yourself with noise, to prove your worth with endless explanations, to wrestle for recognition in a world deafened by its own clamor. But heaven whispers, another law, a higher law, the law that governs true power, the law of sacred stillness. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of divine authority. It is the fortress of the soul that cannot be shaken, no matter how many storms rage outside. It is the temple bell that rings without words, carrying its sound across valleys and mountains, commanding respect by its very resonance. The one who lives in stillness no longer argues for recognition. They do not fight to be seen, for they have discovered the holy paradox. The moment you stop defending yourself, heaven defends you. The moment you stop pushing, the current of destiny carries you farther than effort ever could. Arguing is noise. Silence is power. Noise is the cry of fear. Silence is the anthem of faith. Noise is the demand of the ego. Silence is the decree of the spirit. There was a time you thought victory meant the loudest voice in the room. Now you know true victory is the calm presence that silences every other voice without uttering a word. You once stood on battlefields of opinion, defending yourself against every accusation, every doubt, every misunderstanding. But today, you walk differently. You walk like one guarded by heaven's armies. You no longer explain yourself. You embody truth. Look at your life. Look at the times you argued, begged, explained, defended. Did it bring peace? Or did it drain your energy and leave you feeling unseen? And now remember the times you chose silence. Remember how the storm dissolved on its own. Remember how the universe rearranged itself without your struggle. That is the sacred victory of stillness. Silence is not weakness. It is not surrender to defeat. Silence is surrender to God's perfect timing. It is the divine clock striking at the exact moment, unlocking doors you could never pry open by force. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that when you stop resisting, when you stop struggling, you open yourself to the law of non-resistance. Does not mean apathy. It means alignment. It means you no longer waste your divine energy on battles not assigned to you by heaven. You conserve your strength for the assignments that truly matter. Imagine yourself as a fortress on a hill. The winds howl, the rains pour, enemies shout at your gates, yet you remain unmoved. You do not descend to wrestle in the mud. You stand, you endure, and in your silence, they grow weary. Their noise crumbles into dust. For silence disarms what argument cannot. You are not here to win debates. You are here to win destiny. You are not here to convince doubters. You are here to embody truth so fully that truth convinces through you. Say this with me now. I do not argue. I align. I do not resist. I rise. My silence is victory. These words are not just affirmations. They are spiritual decrees. When you declare them, you cut the cords of struggle. You release the grip of fear. You open the gates of heaven's intervention. And I ask you now, where in your life can you choose stillness over struggle this week? Is it in your relationships, where arguments repeat but love is never heard? Is it in your workplace, where defending yourself only deepens the cycle of misunderstanding? Is it in your own mind, where you fight with old memories and past regrets? Write it down. Journal it. Let your soul see the places where silence can become your weapon, where stillness can become your shield. For writing is another form of silence. It is the quiet dialogue between your soul and God, free from the noise of the world. And remember this divine reminder. The one aligned with God never needs to fight, for victory is already theirs. You were never meant to win through noise. You were meant to win through alignment. You were never meant to conquer through argument. You were meant to conquer through embodiment. When you are silent, heaven is not silent. Heaven moves. Heaven rearranges. Heaven fights for you in ways your voice never could. So step into the sacred victory of stillness. Walk with the quiet confidence of one already chosen. Sit in the assurance that your life is being written by a divine author who does not need your frantic edits. Trust the law of silence. Trust the law of non-resistance. Trust the law of divine timing. And as you carry this into your week, carry it like a shield. Carry it like a banner. Carry it like a song. For silence is not defeat. It is the sound of God winning through you. The greatest prison is not built by the world but by the lies you whisper to yourself every day. It is the invisible chain that binds your spirit, the quiet voice that says, "I am fine," when deep within you know you are breaking. It is the silent nod to mediocrity when your soul longs for abundance. It is the mask you wear before the world while the temple of your heart trembles. You see, the most dangerous lie is not the one spoken to others. It is the lie you tell yourself. The lie that says you are powerless. The lie that says you are not worthy. The lie that says tomorrow is the day you will change while today you stay asleep. Florence Scovel Shinn taught us that divine law responds not to what we pretend but to what we truly believe. The subconscious does not bargain. It does not excuse. It does not overlook. It records every word, every thought, every whisper you tell yourself in secret. And then, without judgment, it builds your world upon those whispers. If you tell yourself you are weak, your life will mirror weakness. If you tell yourself money is scarce, the universe will echo scarcity. If you tell yourself love will never come, you will stand outside the banquet of life, convinced the table is not for you. This is not punishment. This is law, the law of the tongue, the law of belief, the law of inner agreement. Think of your soul as a sacred temple. Every lie you tell yourself is like pouring sand across its marble floors, dimming the radiance of its altar. Soon, the temple does not shine with truth but crumbles under the weight of falsehood. Or imagine a mirror cracked down the middle. You look at it and think you see yourself, but the reflection is distorted, and the longer you stare, the more you believe the distortion is who you truly are. I must ask you today, what lie have you been living with? What truth have you buried because it frightened you? What mask have you worn for so long that you forgot the face beneath it? Is it the lie that you are satisfied with just enough? Is it the lie that says you can wait until later to live your dream? Is it the lie that says God has forgotten you? Beloved soul, it is not God who forgets. It is you who forgets the divine law written into your very being. The law that says truth will always set you free. The law that says denial creates delay, and delay creates suffering. The law that says the moment you align with honesty, the universe rushes to meet you with supply. You do not need to fear this confrontation with truth. Yes, truth can cut. Yes, truth can burn, but truth does not destroy. Truth refines. Truth clears away the rubble of illusion so the temple may stand again. Truth takes the cracked mirror and makes it whole. If you have been telling yourself that everything is fine when it is not, today you must stop. If you have been excusing your lack, saying this is just how life is, today you must stop. If you have been hiding from the responsibility to claim your divine inheritance, today you must stop. Do not mistake gentleness for weakness. This moment is not about comfort. It is about awakening. And awakening is rarely gentle. It is the ringing of a bell in the middle of your sleep. It is the flash of lightning that turns night into day for an instant and shows you what is really there. And yet, within that discomfort is your liberation, because once you see the lie, you cannot unsee it. Once you feel the weight of illusion, you cannot carry it much longer. Once you awaken, you can never again pretend to be asleep. Right now, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what part of my life is built on a lie? Is it my finances? Is it my relationships? Is it the way I speak to myself in silence? Write it down if you must. Bring it into the light where it can no longer control you from the shadows. And if you are ready to step into truth every single day, I invite you now to subscribe to this channel, not as a casual act, but as a declaration, as a sign to your soul that you are ready for daily reminders of truth, power, and divine law, because your soul deserves nothing less than freedom. Your soul deserves nothing less than the full light of truth. Look around your life. Everything you see was once a whisper you told yourself. Your career, your finances, your health, your relationships, they are reflections of the stories you accepted. If those stories were lies, then your life became a mirror of lies. But if today you begin speaking truth, your life will become a mirror of freedom. Say to yourself now, even if your voice shakes, I refuse to lie to myself any longer. I choose honesty. I choose alignment. I choose divine truth, for divine truth sets me free. Feel those words as more than language. Feel them as law, because the moment you declare them with conviction, the subconscious records them, the universe aligns with them, and life begins to rearrange around them. It does not require years. It requires honesty. It requires willingness. It requires courage to say, no more lies. You are not powerless. You are not forgotten. You are not meant for chains. You are meant for light, for freedom, for divine order. The brutal warning is this. If you continue to lie to yourself, your life will continue to reflect those lies. But the promise is greater. If you dare to live in truth, your life will shine with a brilliance you cannot yet imagine. Take this moment seriously. Do not brush it aside. Do not tell yourself you will face it tomorrow, for tomorrow is another lie. The truth is now. The shift is now. The freedom is now. And as you breathe into that realization, prepare your heart for the next step, because the first brutal truth is not outside of you. It is not hidden in the world. It is hidden in the words you speak every day. And the words you speak are either your prison or your liberation. The tongue is the gatekeeper of destiny. Every word that escapes your lips is not just sound, it is substance. Invisible threads of energy weaving themselves into the fabric of your life. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that every word spoken is a seed planted in the soil of the subconscious. Your speech is not idle chatter. It is creation. It is law. Think of the tongue as a silent gardener. Every phrase you utter drops into the fertile ground of your inner mind. When you say, I can't, the seed of limitation takes root. When you whisper, I'm not enough, weeds begin to crawl across the soil of your soul. When you declare, money doesn't matter, you shut the gate on prosperity before it even approaches your door. The earth does not question the seed you place in it. It simply multiplies it. Your subconscious does the same. It takes every word as truth, whether born from faith or fear. This is where the most dangerous form of deception hides, not in lies told to others, but in lies spoken to yourself. Think of the times you have smiled through pain and said, I'm fine, or shrugged off your deepest hunger with, I don't need more. These words feel harmless. They feel like shields to protect you from judgment, disappointment, or vulnerability. But in the unseen realm, they are agreements, contracts with You told your soul not to hope, not to stretch, not to desire. And so the soul obeyed. Every time you deny your true longing with false speech, you choke the root of your own harvest. Lies are weeds. They wrap themselves around the stems of your blessings, suffocating what God has already prepared for you. Self-deception does not just block others from knowing who you are. It blocks the divine from giving you what is rightfully yours. But truth-filled words break chains. When you declare, I am ready for abundance, the subconscious opens like morning soil to receive the light. When you say, I deserve love because I was created in love, your inner garden blossoms with new possibility. When you boldly affirm, I speak only truth aligned with God's law, and what I declare becomes, you are no longer planting weeds. You are releasing seeds of heaven, drenched in sunlight, nourished by living water. Pause and reflect. When was the last time you told yourself something just to feel safe, even when you knew it wasn't true? Was it in your finances, convincing yourself you didn't care about money, when deep down you longed for freedom? Was it in love, pretending indifference, when your heart ached for connection? Was it in your own power, dismissing your dreams as impossible, when your spirit was begging to soar? The law of the tongue demands honesty, not harsh honesty that wounds, but sacred honesty that heals. To confess the truth of your desire is not weakness, it is alignment. It is saying, I trust that what God placed in my heart is holy, and I will not dishonor it with denial. Your words are not casual, they are decrees. When you murmur, nothing ever works out for me, the universe bows to your command. When you complain, I never have enough, you instruct creation to keep you empty. When you gossip about your own limitations, you build a prison with your own tongue. But when you rise and speak from truth, the opposite occurs. I walk in divine timing. What is mine cannot be withheld. Money flows to me in perfect ways. Because I live in the rhythm of abundance, I choose words of faith, and what I release from my mouth returns multiplied. These declarations are not empty affirmations. They are codes, keys that unlock doors hidden in the unseen. Do not underestimate the power of a whispered phrase. A word is like fire, small, but once sparked, it spreads. Entire forests of destiny burn or bloom depending on the flame you carry in your mouth. Here is your tool. Each morning, before the noise of the world reaches your ears, speak aloud, I speak only truth aligned with God's law, and what I declare becomes. Feel it vibrate in your chest. Let the resonance mark your subconscious like sunlight pressing into the soil. Speak it not as a ritual, but as a covenant. And when fear tempts you to speak the opposite, practice substitution. Instead of saying, I can't afford this, say, God provides in ways beyond my imagination. Instead of declaring, I always fail, affirm, every step brings me closer to the victory prepared for me. The law of substitution and the law of the tongue dance together. What you do not want to manifest, you replace with truth until truth becomes the only language your soul knows. Take this journaling prompt with you. What words do I speak daily that hide my true desires? Write them down, then rewrite them into truth. Transform "I don't need love" into "I am open to the divine partnership prepared for me." Transform "I'll never be wealthy" into "I receive wealth" as a natural expression of divine flow. In doing this, you are pulling weeds from the soil of your spirit and planting new life. The power of the tongue is not only in speech, it is in silence. Notice the words you withhold out of fear. Notice the truth you bury in your chest. Healing begins when you allow the truth to cross the threshold of your lips. Say it aloud, even if your voice trembles, because trembling words still plant seeds. This is the crescendo. Self-deception through speech does not just fool others, it fools the soul. And when the soul is deceived, it grows weary. It forgets its divine compass. It stops expecting miracles. But when the soul hears the truth spoken aloud, it awakens, it stretches, it remembers its original design. Your tongue is the silent gate of destiny. Guard it, honor it, use it to release only what you are willing to harvest. Because words are only the surface. The deeper lie lives in how you see reality itself, and that is where we go next. Life is a mirror. It does not argue, it does not flatter, it does not invent, it reflects. Yet, how often do we stand before this mirror, not seeing what is truly there, but what fear has painted across its surface? Florence Scovel Shinn taught the law of substitution. The mind cannot hold two pictures at once. If you fill it with lack, it cannot hold abundance. If you flood it with fear, it cannot hold faith. If you let shadows take the frame, the light has no place to enter. The mirror does not choose what it reflects. You do not think of perception as a paintbrush. With every thought, every belief, you color the surface of your world. When you look through the lens of fear, you misinterpret the reflection. A small delay becomes a failure. A closed door becomes rejection. A temporary struggle becomes permanent doom. These are not truths, they are illusions. Smoke that curls and hides the true form. The self-lie here is not in words, but in sight. You say to yourself, "This is the way it is," when in truth, you are looking at reality through fogged glass. Fear has become your interpreter, and fear mistranslates everything it touches. Picture this. A person stands before a mirror after a long shower, the glass clouded by steam. They lean closer, trying to see themselves, but only blurred outlines appear. So they assume that is their face. They live believing that distortion is who they are. But then, slowly, they wipe the mirror, the fog clears, and there, for the first time, the true reflection emerges. This is what happens when you replace fear with truth. The fog lifts, the lies dissolve, the real self comes into view. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you confused fear for fact? Did you look at your bank account and decide you were poor, forgetting that abundance flows in unseen channels? Did you face rejection and decide you were unworthy, when in truth, divine timing was protecting you? Did you misinterpret silence as abandonment, when it was simply space preparing you for what was next? The law of substitution is your remedy. If the mind cannot hold two pictures at once, then erase the false one. Replace it. If lack appears, substitute it with the image of overflowing provision. If fear whispers failure, substitute it with the picture of inevitable success ordained by divine law. If rejection stings, substitute it with the vision of right doors opening in perfect sequence. Do not let illusions hold the brush. Take it back. Paint your mirror with truth until your reflection shines unclouded. Here is your tool. Close your eyes and imagine standing before a great mirror. Its surface is fogged, blurred by years of fear and doubt. See yourself reaching out, wiping away the lies one stroke at a time. Each pass of your hand clears another falsehood. I am not enough. Gone. I will never prosper. Gone. Love is not for me. Gone. With every wipe, light breaks through. And finally, your true face shines back at you, radiant, whole, crowned with divine promise. Affirm aloud as you visualize, I see with the eyes of truth. I choose to see what God has already given, not the illusions of fear. Speak it until it feels real. Speak it until the fog lifts entirely. The mirror will never lie to you, but your perception can. That is why sacred vigilance is required. Notice when fear rises to color your vision. Ask yourself, is this fact, or is this fear pretending to be fact? That question alone can break the spell of illusion. Remember this, Distorted sight leads to distorted life. If you insist on seeing through smoke, you will build your choices on shadows. But when you see clearly, when you wipe the mirror and behold truth, your decisions align with divine law, and your life reflects the abundance already given. Perception is powerful. It is not passive. It is the architect of your experience. Every time you allow fear to dictate how you see reality, you surrender your blueprint to a false designer. But every time you choose truth, you reclaim your authority as co-creator with the divine. You are not powerless before the mirror. You are its master. It will always reflect the image you insist upon holding. So insist on truth. Insist on clarity. Insist on the reflection God placed within you before the world told you otherwise. Now pause and feel this. The illusions you have believed for years, the stories of lack, rejection, unworthiness, they are not chains made of iron. They are smoke. They vanish the moment you refuse to see them as real. The power of illusion is not in its existence, but in your agreement with it. Break the agreement, and the illusion dissolves. Say this prayer with me now. Divine Spirit, wipe the mirror of my mind. Clear the fog of fear. Remove the smoke of illusions. Let me see only what you see. Let my eyes be single, filled with light, that my life may reflect heaven on earth. Feel the shift as you speak. Your inner mirror is already clearing. The mirror of reality is merciful. It will always change when you change what you see. But perception is only the mask. The deepest lie hides in desire itself. There comes a moment when the soul can no longer hide behind polite prayers and small wishes, a moment when you must stand naked before your own heart and ask, what do I truly want? Not what you think you should want, not what feels safe to want, but the desire that burns at the core of your being, the one you have buried under fear, shame, or false humility. Florence Scovel Shinn taught the law of divine supply. God cannot fill a cup that pretends to be empty or full. If you hide your hunger, heaven cannot feed you. If you claim your hand is closed, the gift cannot be placed in your palm. Supply flows to honesty. The divine does not bless masks. It blesses truth. How many times have you whispered, I don't need much, just enough to get by, and yet, deep within, your soul aches for overflow, for a life so abundant it spills into the lives of others. That quiet ache is not greed, it is divine design. But when you deny it, you cut the very cord that connects you to heaven's provision. Picture a starving man, lips cracked, stomach hollow, who insists, I am not hungry. He waves away bread, claiming he has no need. Does his denial change the hunger? No, it only prolongs the pain. Desire is not the enemy. Pretending you do not have it is. This is the sacred confrontation, the place where you admit the truth of your longing without apology. To say, yes, I desire wealth. Yes, I desire love. Yes, I desire health, freedom, and joy. To speak, it is not arrogance. It is alignment. For God cannot multiply what you deny exists. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who prayed daily for provision, but her prayers were timid. Lord, give me just enough to pay my rent, just enough to cover my food, just enough to survive. And heaven, ever faithful, gave her exactly what she asked. Just enough, never more. Then, one day, she remembered the truth Florence declared. Nothing is too good to be true. Trembling, she dared to pray a different prayer. God, I desire abundance, not scraps. I desire overflow, not survival. I desire the fullness of life you promised. And slowly, doors opened. Opportunities multiplied. Her life shifted because her prayer grew honest. Your own life mirrors the prayers you dare to speak. If you pray small, you live small. If you declare fullness, you invite fullness. Denial of desire is denial of life itself. To say, I do not want, when your soul is screaming, I do, is to silence the very instrument God gave you to sing your song. So here is your practice. Take a pen, take a page, and write down the one desire you are afraid to admit, the one you push aside because it feels too bold, too extravagant, too impossible. Write it. Do not edit. Do not apologize. Just write. Then look at those words and turn them into a divine affirmation. If you wrote, I want to be wealthy beyond survival, transform it into, it is safe to desire the fullness of life, for God's abundance is my birthright. If you wrote, I want love that truly sees me, declare, it is safe to desire love that mirrors the divine, for I am worthy of sacred union. Whatever the desire, reframe it into truth, until it feels like permission, not shame. Close your eyes now and see yourself holding a cup. At first, you tell yourself it is small, half-filled, unworthy of overflow. But then, in a sacred act of courage, you extend it wide and open. You say, "Here I am, Lord, fill me fully," and watch as the divine orchestra swells, pouring provision until your cup overflows, not just for you, but for all who drink from your life. Say this affirmation with me. It is safe to desire the fullness of life, for God's abundance is my birthright. Let the words settle into your bones. Let them silence the old lie that told you to shrink. Your soul was never designed for half. Your spirit was never meant to live on crumbs. The seed of God within you longs to bloom fully, not partially. Denial keeps the seed buried. Honesty allows it to grow. So confront the truth. You want more because you were created for more. Desire is not sin. It is signal. It points you toward the life God has already prepared. To silence it is to silence destiny. But admitting your desire is not enough. Speaking your hunger is only the beginning. The final step is the fiercest of all. It is to declare war on the greatest lie ever told, the lie of powerlessness. There is a moment every soul must face, the moment when the veil of lies becomes too heavy to wear, and the whisper inside cries out, "I cannot pretend any longer." That is the sacred confrontation with truth. And in that moment, the greatest lie reveals itself. It is the lie that chains generations, cripples dreams, and silences destinies. It is the lie that says, "I am powerless to change." This is the final prison, not built of stone, but of silent agreement. Agreement with fear, agreement with defeat, agreement with the idea that the divine spark within you could ever be too weak to rise. This lie has kept kings bowing like beggars and queens living as shadows of themselves. But today, we bring the hammer of truth against its walls. Florence Scovel Shinn spoke with fire when she said, "Your word is your wand." She did not say, "Your complaint is your wand" or "Your fear is your wand." She said, "Your word." Power is not stolen. Power is spoken. Authority is not begged for. Authority is claimed. And weakness is not your inheritance. For you were born under divine law. The law of non-resistance tells us you do not fight shadows into light. You simply shine, and the shadows flee. You do not wrestle weakness to the ground, exhausting yourself with its illusion. You speak strength, you align with strength, and strength becomes the atmosphere in which you live. The law of divine authority proclaims that when you declare truth in alignment with God, heaven and earth rearrange to bear witness. Picture this. You stand before a temple door. The door has always been locked, and for years you believed the key was lost. You prayed outside the gate, begging for scraps, convinced that only the chosen few could enter. But now, in this very moment, you look down and see the key shining in your own hand. The key was never taken from you. It was given at birth. It is your word. It is your truth. And the temple awaits. Imagine the sacred gate opening. The sound is not the creak of resistance but the pure note of release, like a divine orchestra announcing your arrival. You cross the threshold, and the weight you carried falls away. The clock of destiny strikes, and for the first time you realize the hour has always been now. But truth is not only symbolic, it demands embodiment. You must practice it, breathe it, declare it. Begin with prayer, not as ritual but as command. Say, "God is my strength, my truth, and my supply. I live in divine honesty, and I walk in victory." Let these words be more than sounds. Let them be the spine of your day, the compass of your choices, the melody that governs your mind. Then, enter visualization. Close your eyes and see yourself holding the heavy mask you have worn for too long. The mask of "I am fine when I am not," the mask of "I am weak," the mask of "I cannot." Feel its weight in your hands. Feel how it cuts off your breath, how it hides your light. And then, with the authority of heaven, lay it down. Step forward without it. Walk into the radiant light of your true self. The air is cleaner, the colors sharper, and for the first time, you see yourself not as the world labeled you, but as God created you. Do not be afraid when truth feels fierce. It is not brutal, it is merciful. It cuts away lies the way a surgeon's blade removes poison. Truth does not come to destroy you. It comes to reveal you. It does not come to strip you bare. It comes to crown you with the robe of authenticity. To live in truth is to live without chains. To speak truth is to speak as a sovereign soul. Understand this deeply. Every time you declare, "I am powerless," the universe must echo weakness back to you. But every time you declare, "I am divine authority in action," heaven itself must align with your words, for the universe is impartial. It reflects not what you hope, but what you claim. So today, break the final agreement with the lie of weakness. Stand as Florence Scovel Shinn taught, not pleading for mercy, but commanding from truth. For you are not a beggar at the gates of life. You are the heir of divine supply. Your inheritance is strength. Your portion is abundance. Your right is freedom. And now, let us speak together. Speak this, not as repetition, but as revelation. Say it aloud with the full weight of your being. I no longer lie to myself. I live in divine truth, and divine truth sets me free. Let the words echo in your chest. Let them rearrange the atmosphere of your home. Let them become the banner that flies over your life. Because truth is not weak. Truth is not fragile. Truth is the most loving force in existence, for it sets you free. The chains may have felt real. The fears may have screamed loud, but the voice of truth is louder still. And today, you have heard it. So, I invite you now, seal your transformation with action. Go into the comments and declare it boldly. I choose truth. This is not only engagement, it is agreement. Agreement with your highest self. Agreement with the divine law that governs all things. Agreement that the hour of destiny is not tomorrow, but now. And as you write those words, feel heaven itself. Lean closer. For every time you choose truth, you step deeper into freedom. Every time you claim authority, you become the living proof of divine law. And every time you speak, the universe listens and obeys. This is your liberation. This is your moment. The lie of weakness dies here, and the life of truth begins now. Have you noticed how comfort feels like peace, but secretly robs you of your power? Comfort whispers in a gentle voice, telling you that you are safe, that you can stay where you are, that nothing needs to change. Yet beneath its softness lies a silent thief, stealing the fire of your spirit. Comfort is a velvet cage. It is lined with softness, but its bars are invisible. And once you settle inside, you forget that you were born to soar. If you are ready to break free from comfort's chains and walk boldly into your divine potential, subscribe now for daily awakening truths that will guide your soul back to its rightful power. Comfort pretends to be your ally, but it is the great deceiver. It tells you that tomorrow will be the right time. It tells you that rest is all you need. It tells you that playing small is wisdom. But the soul was not designed to live in cages. Your spirit was created to move, to grow, to expand like the dawn rising over the horizon. And every time you choose comfort over courage, a piece of that dawn is delayed. Think of a man sitting by a warm fire while the world outside calls him to greatness. Opportunities pass his window like travelers on a road, knocking, waiting, offering treasures of destiny. Yet he remains still. The fire is warm, the chair is soft, the call seems distant, and so he stays. Days become weeks, weeks become years, and the man becomes older, weaker, dimmer, not because he lacked talent or opportunity, but because he worshipped at the altar of comfort. The truth is clear. Energy must move forward, for this is the law of the universe. Florence Scovel Shinn called it the law of non-resistance. The stream flows, the wind moves, the heart beats, the breath rises and falls. Life is never stagnant. When you resist movement, when you cling to ease and refuse the current, you suffocate your own growth. Comfort is not peace. Comfort is resistance wearing a mask of safety. You may feel that staying where you are is harmless, but stillness in the wrong season is death to the dream within you. A seed cannot remain forever beneath the soil. If it does not break open, it rots. You too must break the shell of comfort. You must allow the divine current to carry you forward. Ask yourself right now, where in your life are you choosing comfort over growth? Where are you clinging to the velvet cage instead of opening the gate to freedom? This is your journal prompt. Write it down. Do not let your mind escape this question. Sit with it. Confront it. Your liberation begins the moment you admit where comfort has stolen your fire. I know why you choose comfort. It feels safe. It feels familiar. It feels like the arms of an old friend. But notice how this friend never lets you leave the house. Notice how this friend never applauds when you try to rise. Comfort is not a friend. It is a jailer who feeds you just enough ease to keep you quiet. While your soul starves for purpose, the law of non-resistance demands forward motion. When a river meets a rock, it does not stop. It moves around, over, through, but it does not resist. So must you. The moment you cling, you create struggle. The moment you release, you find strength. Comfort is resistance, because it resists the flow of destiny. True peace is surrender to movement. True joy is trust in the current. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a door in front of you. Behind it lies the unknown. Beyond it lies discomfort, but also beyond it lies freedom, power, abundance. Comfort keeps you staring at the door, afraid to turn the handle. But what if, just for one moment, you trusted? What if you opened that door and stepped into the divine flow? Affirm this with me. I am guided by the divine current. I am safe in forward motion. I am free from the chains of false comfort. Say it again until it begins to dissolve the illusion that comfort is your protector. Feel how your body responds to these words. Your spirit has been waiting for them. The danger of comfort is not that it feels good. The danger is that it numbs you. It lulls you into sleep while your destiny passes by. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the game of life is a game of giving and receiving, of moving forward in faith, not sitting still in fear. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. If you wait until comfort releases you, you will die in its arms. This is your awakening. Hear it as a sacred alarm bell ringing in your soul. You cannot afford another year of waiting. You cannot afford another day of pretending that comfort is enough. Your soul did not come to this earth to be wrapped in blankets. It came to build, to create, to shine, to overcome. Yet let me remind you gently, comfort is not destiny. It is only a habit, and habits can be broken the moment you decide to see through them. The power of awareness is the first hammer that cracks the cage. The moment you name comfort as your captor, you begin to walk free. So do not despair. Do not condemn yourself for the years you have sat in the chair by the fire. The past is gone. What matters now is the choice before you. Will you remain in the velvet cage, or will you open the door? Will you cling to false peace, or will you trust the divine current? The choice is yours. But know this, the moment you choose forward motion, heaven aligns with you, doors open, energy flows, life itself will rise to carry you. Breathe deeply now. Feel the truth of these words. Comfort has stolen enough from you. It has dimmed your fire long enough. But now you see it for what it is. Now you are awake. And with awakening comes power. This is where your journey begins. This is the first step toward reclaiming your motivation, not from effort, but from divine alignment. You were never meant to stay asleep. You were meant to rise. Have you ever wondered why some days you wake with a fire in your chest and other days you can barely lift yourself from the bed? The world tells you that motivation is about discipline, willpower, and grinding harder. But the truth is far more sacred. Motivation is not the muscle of human effort. It is the current of divine desire seeking to flow through you. It is not born of struggle. It is born of alignment. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that thought is substance, and every word is a seed. The law of substitution declares that no mind can dwell on two things at once. If you are resting in fear, despair, or doubt, the current of energy slows, and comfort quietly takes its place. But when you substitute those idle shadows with inspired words, with living affirmations that align with divine law, suddenly the river moves again. Imagine a great river winding toward the sea. Its destiny is to flow, but boulders of comfort, stones of routine, dams of fear stack high across its path. The water pools, stagnant, heavy, lifeless. This is the soul when it clings to the illusion of safety. But remove just one stone, release just one chain of false security. Suddenly the river surges, rushing forward with unstoppable force, as if the ocean itself is calling it home. That is what happens when you align with the law. Motivation is not a trick of psychology. It is the natural surge of divine energy when you remove resistance and substitute truth for illusion. Close your eyes for a moment and see this river inside you. Picture the dam before you, built of all the comforts you have chosen over courage, the television, the endless scrolling, the excuses whispered in the dark. Now, see your hands on the stones. One by one you lift them out. As you do, the waters rise. They shimmer with divine light. They push against the walls until they break, and the flood comes rushing through your veins. Feel it clearing the heaviness in your chest. Feel it stirring your mind awake. This is not imagination. This is energy obeying the law. Say these words softly, but with power. I am guided by divine energy, and my soul moves forward in perfect faith. Speak them again, but now imagine the sound is not coming from your mouth, but from the very depths of your spirit. With every repetition, you are substituting a dead thought with a living truth. The universe does not wait. It obeys the command of the word. As Florence declared, your word is your wand. What you declare becomes the very architecture of your destiny. Motivation, then, is not a flame you wait to be lit. It is a river you release. It is the divine orchestra striking its chord the moment you step into harmony with the score. When you speak, I move forward. Heaven moves with you. When you say, I am alive with divine energy, the stagnant waters break and life pours in. The law of substitution is not philosophy. It is a lever. Place your thought upon it, and you shift the weight of your entire existence. So hear me clearly. Comfort is not simply a pause. Comfort is a false god, a velvet cage that offers softness while robbing the spirit of its climb. But you were not created to sleep in safety. You were created to march through the silent gate of destiny. The river within you does not desire stillness. It longs for the ocean of fulfillment. This is your practice. When you feel heavy, substitute the weight with a word. When your mind whispers excuses, replace them with declarations of power. Stand before the mirror and affirm, the energy of divine desire flows through me. Every step I take is charged with faith. Every thought I hold is radiant with life. This is not positive thinking. This is spiritual law. Let your imagination become your ally. Each morning, see yourself opening the dam inside your soul. Watch as waters of divine power rush into your body. See them clearing fear from your chest, doubt from your mind, weariness from your bones. Let the river flow into your heart. You will command it by aligning thought with law. For the universe bends to the word spoken in faith. Life itself rushes to fulfill the one who dares to declare, remember the river, remember the stones, remember that every word is a hand lifting resistance from the path. Speak with authority, visualize with courage, and you will feel the current move, unstoppable, carrying you toward the sea of your highest calling. The spiritual law behind motivation is simple but profound. Energy must move, desire must express, the soul must flow. And when you substitute dead thoughts with living affirmations, when you replace fear with faith, when you release comfort for calling, the river within you will rise, and nothing can hold it back. And so we move from here. Knowing motivation is not willpower, but divine alignment. From this understanding, we step into the next law, where the deeper currents of destiny reveal themselves even more clearly. Comfort is the most convincing illusion the soul will ever face. It comes disguised as safety, whispering that the familiar is enough. It drapes itself like a warm blanket and tells you there is no reason to move, no urgency to rise, no call to answer. But what feels like safety quickly becomes stagnation, and stagnation is the quiet death of divine fire. Inside you, there are always two voices. One is the voice of spirit, urging you forward, calling you to take the step, to speak the word, to trust the unseen. It does not shout, it does not beg. It calls like a steady bell in the distance, a compass that always points to your higher path. The other voice is comfort, softer, closer. It whispers, stay here. You've done enough. Don't risk the unknown. It paints fear as wisdom and hesitation as prudence. And too often, that is the voice that wins. Consider the man or woman who dreams of writing a book. They see it so clearly in their heart, pages filled with words that could heal and inspire. They imagine the book in their hands, their name etched across the cover. The spirit calls them to write, but night after night, comfort pulls them to the glow of a television, the endless scroll of a phone, the easy conversation that numbs the deeper call. A year passes, then another. The dream remains unwritten, buried beneath the velvet chains of ease. Comfort promised peace, but delivered regret. Comfort is a mirage in the desert. You see it shimmering in the distance, offering the illusion of cool water. But when you reach for it, your thirst is still unquenched. You walk away emptier than before. And that is the paradox. Comfort does not comfort. It starves. It hides its cost until time has already slipped away. What are the emotions that feed this cycle? Fear of failure whispers that it is better to stay still than to try and fall. Fear of ridicule tells you that it is safer to hide than to be seen and misunderstood. Fear of uncertainty paints the unknown as danger when it is truly the doorway to destiny. These fears are the architects of stagnation. They are the bricks from which comfort builds its walls. Florence Scovel Shinn taught the law of divine timing, that there are moments prepared by God where action opens a silent gate of destiny. Delay closes it. When the inner prompting comes, when the spirit whispers move, the law requires response. Every moment of hesitation is a seed of loss. Opportunities do not vanish because they were never real. They vanish because you closed the door by choosing ease. So pause and ask yourself, what has comfort cost me in the past year? Which opportunities did I quietly bury under the excuse of, I'm tired or I'll do it tomorrow? Journal this without judgment, but with honesty. Write the names of the doors that closed while you sat still, not to shame yourself, but to awaken your spirit. Comfort is not neutral. It takes, it steals, it leaves behind a trail of unlived moments. But there is a reframe waiting for you. The old inner dialogue says, I'm fine here. This is enough. But the truth is, you are not made for here. You are made for forward motion. Your soul was not designed to rest in the shadows of ease, but to rise and expand into the light of calling. Replace the words, I'm fine here, with the declaration, I am made for forward motion. Feel the shift. One phrase keeps you chained. The other breaks the lock. Try it now. Whisper it to yourself. I am made for forward motion. Say it again, but with the certainty that heaven hears you. I am made for forward motion. As you speak, feel the energy in your chest awaken. That is your spirit remembering its path. That is divine law aligning with your word. Comfort will always speak. Its voice is woven into the human condition. But so is the higher voice, the one that calls you beyond the mirage, beyond the illusion, into the river of real life. The struggle is not a flaw. It is the sacred battleground where you choose destiny over delay. And when you feel the tug-of-war within you, remember this, comfort's promise is temporary, but your spirit's call is eternal. The velvet cage may feel safe, but the keys are in your hand. Use them. Replace fear with faith. Replace hesitation with declaration. Replace the illusion of safety with the certainty of divine timing. Every time you step forward, you are not just resisting comfort. You are obeying a higher law. You are saying yes to the silent gate of destiny opening before you. You are choosing to let your soul's compass guide you instead of fear's whispers. And that choice, though small, shifts everything. So let today be your journal, your prayer, your declaration. Write down what comfort has cost you. Speak aloud what spirit is calling you to. Replace the old inner whisper with a new command. I am made for forward motion. My soul does not settle in ease. My spirit rises in destiny. And, as you live this truth, you will feel the struggle change. Comfort will lose its grip. Spirit will become the louder voice, and your life will no longer be a mirage, but a river, flowing with purpose, guided by divine law, and unstoppable in its forward motion. From here, we step deeper, beyond struggle, into the sacred path of awakening where every choice becomes a seed of destiny, and every word shapes the future that is waiting for you. Comfort feels soft, but it binds hard. It is like chains around the ankles, invisible to the eye, but heavy on the spirit. You try to move forward, but something drags you back. And yet, within you are wings designed for flight. Wings that long to rise. The tragedy is not that you lack power. The tragedy is that the chains of ease have kept your wings folded. But today, those chains can break. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that words are your weapons, your tools, your keys. Every word you speak in alignment with divine law shatters a link of the chain. Comfort holds you only as long as your words agree with it. When you say, I can't, you weld the lock tighter. When you declare, I move forward with divine strength, you strike the chain with the hammer of truth. The power of words is not just poetry, it is law. Speak forward-moving words, and comfort loses its grip. So begin each day with a declaration. Stand before the mirror, look into your own eyes, and say with conviction, I am divinely guided, motivated, and unstoppable. Do not whisper it, command it. Speak as if heaven and earth must respond, because they do. Your subconscious records every syllable. Your spirit ignites with every word. Chains do not break by silence. They break by sound. Now, imagine this. Close your eyes and see yourself inside a locked room. The air is heavy. The light is dim. This is the prison of comfort. The walls are lined with excuses, and the floor is littered with missed opportunities. But then, in the corner, you see a door. At first it looks sealed, impossible to move. Yet you step forward. You place your hand upon it, and with one declaration, I am free, the lock breaks. The door swings open, and sunlight pours in. Step through it. Feel the warmth. That is your soul breaking free. That is the divine current welcoming you home. But freedom is not theory. It is practice. Each day, choose one act of discomfort that aligns with your dream. It does not have to be monumental. Send the message you've been avoiding. Write one page of the book your heart carries. Wake up 1 hour earlier to build the vision God placed within you. Each step is not just human effort. It is a signal to the divine orchestra that you are ready to play your part. Heaven moves when you move. Remember this law. Action builds momentum. The universe does not multiply wishes. It multiplies seeds. A seed cannot remain buried in the soil's comfort forever. To grow, it must break its shell. That breaking feels like death, but it is life beginning. If the seed resists, it rots. If it yields, it rises. So too with you. You cannot rise without breaking something open. The shell of fear, the crust of routine, the soil of false safety. Your breaking is your becoming. Picture your life as a river. For years the water has pooled, stagnant behind the dam of comfort. The dam is not stone. It is your words, your habits, your hesitation. Every time you act, every time you speak forward-moving truth, a crack forms in the wall. At first, only a trickle flows through. But then the cracks widen, the current strengthens, and one day, the dam bursts. The river surges with unstoppable force, carrying you to the sea of your destiny. You may wonder, can I really change this? Can I truly break free when comfort has chained me for years? The answer is yes, because comfort is not stronger than you. It never was. It is only louder when you are silent. The moment you speak, the moment you move, its power dissolves. You were not designed for stillness. You were created to expand, to grow, to live in motion with divine law. Try this practice now. Place your hand over your heart. Breathe deeply. Speak aloud. Every chain of comfort is broken. My spirit is free. I step into the sunlight of divine purpose. Say it again, until your body believes it. Let your voice carry authority. Do not recite it. Declare it. This is not repetition. This is recreation. And from this place, take one step today, not tomorrow, today. Choose one act that discomfort has delayed. Write it down. Commit to it. Do it. As small as it seems, it is the hammer strike that cracks the chain. The energy you release in that single act will call forth greater strength. You will feel momentum stir. You will feel heaven lean in. Comfort wants you to believe change is impossible, but impossibility is the mirage. The truth is that transformation begins in a moment. The moment you declare, the moment you move, the moment you break the shell. Comfort will whisper, stay. Spirit will command, rise. Which voice will you obey? Do not wait for the perfect time. Divine timing is never later. It is now. When you choose forward motion, the silent gate of destiny opens before you. When you delay, it closes. Choose now. Break the chain now. Step into the light now. Feel this rising within you. The chains are falling. Your wings are unfolding. The room of excuses is dissolving behind you. You are stepping into sunlight. You are breathing free air. You are living in motion with divine law. This is the moment of release. This is the awakening of motivation. Carry this truth. Comfort is not your master. Spirit is. Words are your keys. Action is your path. And every day you rise in faith. The chains of ease turn to dust beneath your feet. And from here, we move into the next sacred step, where the energy of momentum becomes not just a choice, but a way of life where your forward motion becomes unstoppable, guided by divine current, anchored in destiny. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the valley no longer satisfies. The valley is safe. It is soft. It is predictable. Yet within that safety lies a quiet suffocation. Your spirit knows it was not designed to stay in the shadows of the valley. Your spirit was born for the climb, for the mountain, for the brilliance of light that waits at the summit. Comfort whispers, stay here, it's easier. But destiny calls, rise, for the view from the top was written for your eyes alone. Life is a sacred journey up a mountain. The base is crowded, filled with voices that cling to ease, but as you ascend, the path narrows. Each step upward requires courage, faith, and the willingness to let go of the weight you once carried. Comfort is the valley. Motivation is the climb, and divine energy is the wind at your back, urging you toward the summit of your purpose. Hear this declaration and let it settle deep in your heart. I choose growth over ease, purpose over comfort, divine destiny over delay. Say it now, and notice how your spirit straightens. Notice how your inner being responds to truth. These are not just words. This is law. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that every word spoken is a decree. Each time you affirm divine choice, you are writing your future in light. True motivation cannot be borrowed from another. It cannot be manufactured through pressure, fear, or external force. Real motivation is sustained by union with the divine current. When you live connected to that current, you do not move from willpower alone. You are carried. You no longer chase results with strain. You are lifted by a power that cannot fail. This is why so many burn out. They rely on their own strengths, trying to push uphill without plugging into the infinite source. But when you align with divine energy, fatigue turns into flow. Obstacles become stepping stones. What once felt impossible becomes inevitable. Because the mountain was never meant to be climbed in isolation. The climb is sacred, and the spirit climbs with you. Let gratitude become your anchor on this ascent. Every morning, pause and acknowledge the divine strength that breathes through you. Say softly, "Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this chance to rise. Thank you for the strength that walks me into destiny." Gratitude is not a passive ritual. It is the tuning fork of the soul, aligning your heart with heaven's frequency. And from that frequency, power flows. Now speak this affirmation with the fire of belief. My life is fueled by divine energy, and I walk boldly into my destiny. Not timidly, not hesitantly, boldly, because you are not climbing alone. You are backed by the eternal. You are carried by law, and divine law never fails. Pause for a moment and reflect. What would your life look like a year from now if you broke comfort spell today? Close your eyes if you can. Picture yourself 1 year from this very moment, no longer bound by hesitation, no longer circling the valley. See yourself standing higher, stronger, radiant with fulfillment. See the fruit of courage, the harvest of discipline, the reward of faith. Can you see it? That vision is not fantasy. That is your soul's prophecy calling you into alignment. Do not wait for the perfect conditions. The mountain will never flatten itself to make the climb easier. Destiny honors those who begin with trembling legs and keep moving until their steps become steady. The climb will demand more from you than the valley ever did, but what it gives in return is priceless. Growth, freedom, fulfillment, eternal significance. So, I invite you into a sacred challenge, not just a passing thought, but a covenant with yourself and the divine. Every day this week, step into one action your comfort tried to stop. Speak the word, make the call, take the step, release the fear. One act of courage per day. That is your offering on the altar of destiny. And then, return here, share your transformation. Let this community become a living witness that divine energy multiplies when shared. This is more than motivation. Motivation alone is a spark. It ignites quickly but fades without fuel. But when your motivation is bound to divine law, it becomes an eternal flame, a fire that cannot be extinguished, a fire that lights your path, warms your heart, and guides you through every season of the climb. You are not called to live small. You are not called to circle endlessly in the valley of comfort. You are called to ascend, to rise, to live fueled by divine energy. And as you climb, you inspire others to lift their eyes and follow. That is how light spreads. That is how destiny multiplies. That is how your life becomes part of a divine orchestra. Each step a note, each victory a song, each triumph a testimony of the power of union with spirit. So hear the closing of this sacred circle. You are chosen to climb. You are fueled by divine energy. You are bold, unstoppable, and aligned with eternal law. Comfort will call, but you will not answer. Delay will tempt, but you will not bow, because the flame within you is eternal, and with every step, you rise into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of your ascent. The summit awaits, and the divine current will carry you there.